As he was covered in a lot of blood, Vincent decided that it'll be better to have a scented bath rather than a shower. That way he'll wash off the scent of blood. So he twisted the water tap, causing water to run out of it and fill the tub. After taking off his torn clothes and adding scented soap to the water, Vincent relaxed down on the bathtub, letting the wash away the dust and blood accumulated during his travel. So relaxing. Today has been a hell of a day, Vincent internally said. Blood, I have a question to ask. I superscript 1 You may ask me anything you like, owner.a superscript O. Well, I wanted to ask if there's a relation between the Constitution attribute and battle energy capacity, Vincent said, as he felt that with a little bit of hardcore training he would be able to contain more than 31 units of battle energy. This feeling arose when his constitution improved. Furthermore, it became stronger as his constitution reached 42 points. Though it was just a feeling, and he believes that it would be better to clear up any misconception by talking with the blood evolution system while enjoying this bath. I superscript 1 Yes, there is. Your body can now contain 42 units of battle energy since your body constitution has been improved by a lot. A superscript O. The answer was well appreciated by Vincent. Wow, that means I can shorten weeks to months worth of physical training by simply using attribute points to increase my constitution, Vincent said as he beamed. I superscript 1 Exactly. I superscript O. After a while, Vincent got out of the water and clenched his 2 fists in excitement. If he utilizes the power of his system, he could rise in power very rapidly. Though it was troublesome to fight beasts in the wilderness. You might want to fight a single beast, but a dozen or so might pop out of nowhere. As he had faced this situation and nearly died, Vincent decided to do what a majority of people do. I will find some powerful and trustworthy people to form a hunting party with once I join the military academy. It'll be easy to find some. A lot of talented youth with a good amount of strength will be attending that place. After all, Vincent thought as he decided to dry his body and get dressed up. A few days ago, he believed that as long as he uses his magic resonating eyes, he'll be able to evade all sorts of danger in Earth's wilderness, the weakest of all wilderness, and that's why he went solo. But a single trip was enough to help him realize that he'll die. He would truly be a fool if he went out to hunt once again, even after nearly dying because of going solo. Overnight, I've not only grown taller by an inch or 2, but my physique had also become much sturdier. My skin resembles that of vampires and my muscles seemed a little too developed for my age. It's definitely because of the rapid increase in my strength, Vincent said in wonderment as he was amazed by the reflection represented by the mirror. The man reflected in the mirror stood 6.1 feet tall, with medium-length black hair and wet overgrown bangs messily hanging over his forehead. With sword-like eyebrows and heart-shaped lips, he looked quite handsome. His body was decorated with sets of well-defined abdominal muscles that trickled down from the top of the upper abdomen to the bottom of the lower abdomen. His white skin seemed to look a lot paler when compared to before. His chest has also widened. Now that's perfect. Vincent added a finishing touch to his look by slicking his hair back. He then wore a white shirt and slightly loose black trousers before stepping out of the bathroom. Knock knock. Vincent just sat on his bed when someone knocked on the door of his room. The one knocking on the door shouldn't have come without a reason. Thus, he went to open the door, and at the entrance stood Old Miller. "Can I come in?" "Sure, but why are you here? Do you need anything?" Vincent asked as Old Miller entered the room and sat down on the chair near his bed. "You've grown a lot since I last saw you," Old Miller said as he was able to determine that Vincent has become a lot powerful. "Though the reason why I've come here is to ask whether something is disturbing you are fine or not." "I'm fine. Trust me on this," Vincent said. "You definitely aren't fine," Old Miller said as he looked at him. "Was I too obvious?" Vincent said as he evaded making eye contact with Old Miller. "Nah, you did well to hide it, but you did too well. Besides, whenever you say trust me, it usually means you are more than 90% sure or are trying to hide something. If something is troubling you, then don't hesitate to talk about it with me. Maybe I'll be to help you in some ways." Old Miller said with a fatherly smile. "What if I tell you that I've become a monster who likes to feast on the blood of others? What will you do then?" Vincent asked, as he wanted to know whether he'll be left all alone or remain surrounded by a group of people he could trust. "I don't know what happened that made you think like that, but I want you to know that I'll stay by the side of a monster like you. A monster who saves the life of another person is honestly worth befriending because that monster possesses a silver soul. You've saved someone's life. Thus, according to our culture, you can be considered as a person with a silver soul, a hero as to say. So don't let the death of a few beasts hold you back." Old Miller flicked Vincent's forehead as he believed that he was troubled because of killing multiple beasts. Taking any life, even the life of a beast, wasn't something pleasant. Old Miller knew what it meant the best, as he was a veteran soldier with a twisted past. Old Miller seemed to have misunderstood what Vincent meant by his words, and Vincent had no thoughts of clearing this misunderstanding. "Okay," Vincent replied while rubbing his forehead. "Anyway, thanks for letting me use this dagger. I should return it now." "Nah, you should keep it. It's a pretty decent weapon and it would be a shame for its creator if it's left to rust. If you don't want to use, then just sell it to a merchant. It'll sell for a good price," Old Miller said as he wanted Vincent to use this weapon. "Why are you so good to me?" Vincent asked as Old Miller neared the door. "I am just repaying the favor bestowed upon me by your father." "What favor?" "I was a war slave. You know they're treated badly just 'cause they aren't earthlings. I killed thousands of beasts and monsters by the means of using traps, refined bombs, and beast bullets. Though the higher-ups took all the credits. Thus, my status was never once promoted. Injuries stacking up wasn't a problem for a healer like me, but my energy channels were poisoned by a terrifying beast. I thought that I was finally gonna die under the claws of that terrifying beast like my fellow war slaves when your father chanced upon my dire situation and saved my life, and even recruited me. It might be because he has heard the rumors about my talent as a supporter, or there may be a different reason, but I don't care. He was the first person to treat a war slave like me with respect. He didn't take credit for my achievements and let me be recognized for my hard work. Not to mention the uncountable number of times we trusted out back to each other. If it wasn't for him, then even if I have survived, I would have turned my back on humans, or rather my humanity itself. Regretfully, I had to retire to control the spread of the poison that has taken roots in my energy channels," Old Miller clarified before he coughed thrice. "Are you all right?" Vincent asked as he stood up to pat his back. "Nothing to worry about," Old Miller told him off before he stepped out of the room. He wasn't fine at all. The poison of the beast was terrifying, as it grows and spreads each time mana circulate through his energy channels. He was warned not to use his ability or any kind of magic techniques, as that will lead to an outbreak by the military advisor, and it has happened just a while ago, when he used his ability to repeatedly heal Layla and also to purify the herb that ultimately granted her a new life. The poison was also one of the 2 reasons why he didn't head out to the wilderness, as he was sure that it will spread out and consume his remaining lifespan, killing him at that very instant. The second reason was pretty simple, and that was that he didn't have any traps, consumable military weapons like bombs, or even BBs, beast bullets. The main sources of his combat prowess were retained by the military, as a commoner can't carry such weapons. His retirement left him with a good sum of money, the status of a mid-class commoner, and a regular but limited supply of poison suppressants. Back in his room, Old Miller was coughing up violently. "The damn poison is acting up again." "Well, this sacrifice was worth it. In my deathbed, I can proudly claim that I've saved a gifted person. Ha ha." Old Miller thought with a pleasant smile as he opened a rectangular container before consuming the powdery contents inside. It was a suppressant especially created for the unique poison inhabiting his energy channels. This should be enough to suppress this mild outbreak. Vincent, on the other hand, felt angered at the injustice done to Old Miller, and he then felt a little bad. They treated him badly just 'cause he's a human from another world. Huh? Those pricks of the army. I shouldn't have asked him that. It must have reopened his old wounds. Vincent felt slightly disturbed as he laid down on his bed. He didn't know that Old Miller has such a painful past. If he knew, then he wouldn't have ever raised a topic even remotely related to war slaves. Meanwhile, Peter and Layla conversed about their daily lives before he returned to his room, where he took out his night suits and changed into them before hitting the bed and quickly falling asleep. A new day began. After completing his morning training, Shadow and a few others prepared breakfast for all the members of the orphanage. Vincent was full of energy and he felt like he didn't even need to consume any sort of food, so at first, he declined their offer. However, he joined in on the feast as old Miller and Layla asked him to eat together with them. The kids prepared a heavy breakfast in celebration of Layla's recovery and evolution. They prepared the chicken that they bought yesterday. There were also 3 different types of sausage, fried eggs, toasts, and a lot of other kinds of stuff. This is more like a dinner. Though why does everything taste somewhat bland? Is it because I am 1 part vampire and 1 part human? Vincent thought as he tasted the food. It felt kinda weird, munching on sumptuous-looking food that tastes bland. It was almost frightening. A young man like you should eat more, old Miller said as he looked at him. Ah, sure, Vincent replied, feeling that he shouldn't decline his goodwill. Let me help you, Layla smiled sweetly at him as she said, while placing some blood sausages on his place. You guys are like newlyweds, Shadow said with a teasing smile, causing Layla and Vincent's cheeks to blush red. No, we aren't, they shouted all at the same time, before stuffing their face in the food. This stuff is tasty, Vincent exclaimed as he consumed the blood sausages. He understood that food with blood will taste far better than food without blood. He determined that it's a side effect that came along with evolving and becoming a demi-human. After eating a few sausages, he excused himself and went back to the training ground. He wanted to train and increase his battle energy capacity to 42 units, the maximum limit that his vessel can contain right now, but he'll be able to contain more battle energy in his body as he continues to improve his constitution. Brother, I have a favor to ask, Peter said as Vincent practiced his transcendental-grade combat technique on the wooden puppet. Say it, Vincent said as he looked at Peter. I want you to train me. Next time I don't want to feel useless. It's a terrible feeling when you know someone close to you might die because you've no power to save them, Peter said. I want to become a powerful battle master so that I can protect my family and those I care about. Except for old Miller, Vincent was the only strongest person Peter knew of. He was also the person he was the closest to. While old Miller's training was quite effective in increasing his strength, it wasn't enough. If he keeps on following the regular training schedule, then he will become powerful, but it'll take a lot of time. However, he didn't want to wait that long. He wanted to become strong as fast and as soon as he possibly can, and his best bet was Vincent. Vincent discerned the reason behind his newfound motivation in mere seconds. He believed that today's event has helped Peter realize how shit it feels to be powerless. Well, I don't think I can be considered as a strong battle master, but I can teach you a thing or two about one, Vincent said. First off, tell me how many units of battle energy your body can contain. I am not sure, but I guess it's around 13, Peter replied as he rubbed his chin. That's good. Uncle might have already told you, but let me say it again. The constitution of your body determines the amount of battle energy you can contain. Your body is the vessel that contains battle energy. The quickest way for you to increase the quality of your body and expand your vessel will be in during a training schedule far harsher than the regular schedule. I believe you've one in mind, Peter said as he looked at Vincent in anticipation. I surely do. You'll wear heavy equipment while sparring with me. The twist is that I won't be pulling back my punches. If you can endure through the training, then your strength will increase rapidly as your body will be able to contain a larger amount of battle energy. However, if you can't endure this harsh training, then just say it and I'll come up with a new training method, Vincent said with a smile as his eyes glistened in a thoughtful and calculative light. Since he was stronger than most of the people his age, the kids in the orphanage didn't like sparring with him, and hence, most of the time, he practiced his techniques on wooden puppets. Sometimes he would go to battle arcades to fight against droids, but droids weren't really strong. Their strength could rival E-rank combatants, but their skills were worse than one. Besides, sparring with a human feels far different than hunting a beast or battling an unintelligent puppet with fixed patterns. After all, in a fight, Humans sometimes do unpredictable things, and that helps a lot in covering up weak points. He found that out in his battle against Theodore. That's why he wanted to spar with another person now more than ever, and God has sent a man his way. The reason as to why he wants to train him was that he believes that he will not only help Peter out but also gain actual combat experience by sparring with him. "I'm all right with us sparring," Peter said as he wore heavy pieces of equipment. "Peter, let's get started." "I hope you'll not regret your decision," Vincent said as he closed the distance with a single step and threw a few jabs towards him. Peter's talent in enduring pain was far superior to that of Vincent. Although he was beaten to a bloody pulp every day, he still came to spar with Vincent the very next day. Not only did he learn Charged Fist in just a few days, but his body was also able to contain around 20 units of battle energy. Vincent, on the other hand, completed the mission he accepted by handing over the poisonous herbs, earning a 100 piece of low-level magic stones. He also trained a lot these days. The military entrance exam was upon them, after all, but he wanted to get the hand of his new abilities. He found out that the blood stored in there, Sang Heart, was pretty easy to control. It was no different than his limbs. After training for a few days in the orphanage training ground, he was able to form a sword out of his blood. However, it was mentally taxing to maintain the shape of his weapon for more than 10 minutes. Vincent woke up early in the morning after a good night's sleep. Calculative lights flickered in his eyes as he rubbed them to dispel his sleepiness. "Tomorrow is the military's academy entrance exam. I am well prepared for it, but it doesn't hurt to have an ace up my sleeves," Vincent said with narrowed eyes after splashing his face with water to refresh himself. He was well prepared but didn't indulge in overconfidence because passing the entrance exam with a high evaluation was the most important thing in his life right now, and he wanted to prepare something extra special for it. At the moment, the trump card he decided to create was a Fire Magic Scroll. Fireball Scroll is a magic-grade inscription. The materials needed to create this talisman are Energy Conducting Brush, Magic Scroll, Elemental Heart Blood of a Fire-type Beast, and a Fire Beast core. "I already have 2 and only lack the Magic Scroll and Elemental Heart Blood." Vincent needed to purchase the last 2 things necessary to create a Fire Magic Scroll, and he also wanted to window shop for a few New Worlds items he found interesting, such as accessories with spatial storages and quantum item that comes equipped with an artificial intelligence chip. Now that he was a verified adventurer, he was able to purchase these things, and so he decided to head towards the adventurer's marketplace after breakfast. He had enough cash left behind from the inheritance he received from his parents, his monthly allowance from the military, and the 100 magic power he earned, and so he believed that he would be able to purchase Beast's Blood and even a second-hand New Worlds item if he liked. Vincent had never spent any allowances he received from the military. He also barely touched the inheritance he received after the death of his parents. It all cashed up to a 100,000 Federation cash. He had a huge amount of cash left, but he wasn't sure for how much New Worlds items were sold for, as only certified combatants and those with an adventurer's license can access such information. "Let's see the things I might want to purchase and their prices online. It doesn't hurt to take a look," Vincent thought as he gained access to the adventurer's market page. After his smartwatch scanned the QR code inscribed on the back of his adventure license. After swiping a few times, he found some interesting things that he could purchase, though purchasing a single one of them will cost him his entire inheritance. Items with spatial storage and subspaces were expensive, as they were created when a master alchemist uses his furnace to smelt a metal called mithril and reshape it into an accessory such as rings, amulets, or bracelets. The finishing touch that creates a subspace is added by an inscriptionist by integrating the core of a spatial type beast with the accessory. Mithril and space-type beast cores were rare, and thus they made up at least half of the price. The buyer also needs to pay for the manual and material cost and a 13% sale tax imposed by the Federation. Vincent wanted to purchase a spatial storage device, as it will be helpful when journeying through wilderness and danger zones. He'll be able to store a lot of items in one without feeling burdened by the weight of them, and it was far better than using a backpack. At best, I can purchase the cheapest one among the spatial storage items or a low-quality ring with subspace. Otherwise, I won't be able to get what I truly need," Vincent said as he decided to buy the Black Serpent ring, and he then logged out from his newly registered online adventure account. The spatial ring was created from the toughened scales of mutated serpent. It could endure physical attacks from magical beasts. In other words, he wouldn't feel troubled about placing all his eggs in a single basket, as it will be hard for such a spatial ring to break. Once a spatial device breaks, all the items inside it vanishes for good. After all, I can purchase them online, but it would take between 2 to 3 days to be delivered. I can't wait that long, Vincent thought as he went downstairs to eat the blood sausages that he privately requested Layla to prepare. Because he wanted to purchase these things immediately, he decided upon heading straight to the Adventurers Association building. "Should I dye my hair black?" Layla said as the members of the orphanage sat around the dining table and stuffed their faces with food. "Yeah, it feels a little weird to see you with snowy white hairs," Peter said as he took a bite out of a crunchy toast. "I think there's no need." "You look good with white hair." Vincent's remarks caused Layla to blush and her cheek turned as red as a ripe tomato. "Since you like it, I won't dye them black," she muttered as her head lowered to hide her embarrassment. Vincent managed to hear what she said as his sense of hearing has improved by a large degree. "I guess she likes me," he thought as he silently ate the blood sausages, the only dish on the table that didn't taste bland. The emotion of love was foreign to him, but he also liked Layla. However, he wasn't sure whether the like he held towards her was that of a sibling or that of a lover. "Brother, are you heading somewhere?" Peter asked as Vincent readied himself to step. "Yup, to buy some things." "You wanna come along?" "Why not? I also wanna window shop." "Can I come with you?" Layla said as she wrapped her hands around his elbows and looked at him with her crystalline white eyes. The presence of ice cells has affected her appearance by a lot, and even her eyes have turned unique, but they were rather alluring, matching well with her petite figure and cute face. Vincent didn't decline her touch. Rather, he somewhat liked that Layla was opening up to him. "No problem. You can come along," he replied as he stepped out of the orphanage with Layla. Peter followed after them as he internally shipped his sister with Vincent. The Adventure Association building of Cloud Tower City had many stores that sell New World stuff such as magical herbs, beast weapons and equipment, magical devices, energy resources, alchemy materials, inscription materials, and so on. The market section for adventurers was located in the north of the building, and it was bustling with people as they looked at browsed through the items by using market display stands placed on each side of the entrances of the shops. Upon reaching the place, they saw the area illuminated by moonlights emitting out of light orbs that were hanging down from thin and almost invisible wires. "So beautiful," Layla exclaimed as the view of the market section mesmerized her. "If one doesn't look closely, it'll feel as if small moons were floating above their heads." "So this is what one of the most expensive places in the world looks like," Peter said. "Must have cost a lot to build this." The market section was run by rich merchants. They were rich enough to utilize dozens of costly droids. A lot of droids were moving around this place, guiding and helping a lot of people. When Vincent asked how many shops are in this place, the cute droid responded by saying that there are 53 stores here. It also shared the name and the location of the best ones. "There are 53 stores here. We'll look through them, one by one, starting from the best ones, of course," Vincent said. "All right." Layla felt that it'll not be tiring and boring to look through so many shops as long as she with her older brother. "Eh? Wouldn't it be too boring? Or could it be that you have a reason?" Peter asked. "If there's a reason, you'll find out soon," Vincent said with a mysterious smile. After a while, Peter found out that prices varied according to the popularity of the shop. The popular shops were selling New World's items at a higher price as compared to the less popular ones. "We are trying to find the shop that sells New World's items at the cheapest price, right?" Peter questioned Vincent. He replied with a nod of the head. After almost half an hour, the group stood in front of a small shop made out of wood. As for the reason why Vincent and his group were here, this shop was selling items at the cheapest price, and although it looked plain through and through, Vincent could not decline that he felt a hint of attractive seriousness from this plainly decorated shop. It feels as if the lines of the words are trying to display something. But it's just a feeling, Vincent internally thought before they entered the shop through the door. Welcome to the Mystic Shop, young guns, Wilson. An old man with crooked teeth and a patch on his right eye said with a pleasant smile from behind the counter. He was dressed in plain robes covering most of his body, exposing only his hands. "This old man feels weird. He said the same thing when we entered the shop a few minutes ago," Peter whispered in their ears, as he felt that the old man in front of him was acting like an NPC, saying the same dialogue again and again. "Maybe you're overthinking things," Layla said. "You guys look around and I'll buy some things from him," Vincent said before he walked up to the old man. "How can I be of service, young one?" "I want to buy a magic scroll, black serpent ring, and elemental heart blood of a fire beast." Vincent told him about the items he wants to buy. "These things can only be purchased by legalized combatants." "Show me your combatant certificate or adventure license," the old man said. "Most of the items could only be legally purchased and utilized by registered combatants and adventurers only." "Here you go," Vincent said as he gave his adventure license to the old man. "Here are the items you requested." The old man explained the prices of the items and the storage size and the limitation of the black serpent ring and so on. After taking out the items Vincent requested, "If you want, I can recommend similar items of the same prices." "Thanks, but these are perfect for me," Vincent replied. "Magic scroll A tilde, 3A 10,000 Federation cash. A vial of fire type elemental heart blood A tilde, 2A 18,000 Federation cash. Black serpent ring A tilde, 1A 60,000 Federation cash." "It'll be 88,000 Federation cash," Wilson said after calculating the price of the items. The price of these items in the other stores was far more than this. The minimum was at least 100,000, yet here, it was only 88k. It was a wonder why the old man was selling the items so cheap, barely making any profit. "It's far too cheap," Vincent thought as he handed over his credit card to Wilson. "Before we complete the purchase, let me ask, what do you feel about the decoration of this shop?" Wilson questioned. "The decoration is simple, but it felt like the carvings on the woods are trying to showcase something." Vincent's answer put a satisfied smile on Wilson's face. "Your answer is satisfying and the purchase can be made," Wilson said as he started packing the items Vincent just paid for. "If you feel anything else while looking at the carving on the woods, then now is the time to say it. It might even net you a discount." Vincent stared at the carving on the wooden walls with a gaze of scrutiny. "I feel like the carvings somehow represent inscription patterns," he said after several seconds, "though it's just a guess." As soon as he said those words, Wilson gave him a discount of 10,000 Fed dollars. "Why 10,000 less?" Surprised by his actions, Vincent asked as he looked at the old man. "It's a rule set by my creator," Wilson replied. "Your creator?" "Yes, I'm a human-like robot created by the owner of this shop. According to the rules set by the creator of the Mystic Shop, only those who feel a sense of mystery from the shop's decoration are eligible to purchase 10 items in the shop. Similarly, any person that happens to understand that the carvings on the walls represent inscription patterns shall obtain a discount 10 times. Lastly, if someone can comprehend the patterns of the wall and perfectly inscribe them on a scroll to create a magic-grade inscription, they will be rewarded with the choice of taking away 1,000,000 Federation cash or pick up one of the items left behind by the owner. The owner of this shop must be a rich person, Vincent thought. "Since it's something I've earned, I won't shy away from it," Vincent said. "Pleasure doing business with you," Wilson said as he handed over the adventure license, credit card, and the things he just purchased to Vincent. "Please come again," he added as Vincent walked up to Layla and Peter. "Wow, this is so pretty," Layla said while pointing at a hairpin. "But it's a little bit too much costly," Peter said. "It's beautiful, but I have no money to purchase it." "No worries, I'll buy it after earning some cash." Layla believed that she would pass the entrance examination tomorrow and attend the military academy to learn more about the usage of her ability, magic techniques, and transcendental grade combat techniques. Then, she'll become a powerful soldier and would be able to buy stuff she likes. No need to wait so long. It's only 1,000 Fed cash. I'll pay for you, Vincent said to Layla before he turned towards the shopkeeper. Come here, get me this one. I want to give it to my little sister. Of course. Of course. Wilson quickly came over and packed the hairpin. Buta. Big sis, don't decline. It's a gift from brother, Peter said as he winked at his sister. Layla couldn't decide whether to accept it or not, but thinking on it a moment more, she readily accepted. She felt immensely happy as it was the first gift she received from her brother. Thank you, Layla said to Vincent before they stepped out of the shop. It looks good on you, he said after he settled the hairpin in between her hair. At the moment, Layla's heartbeat increased exponentially and she realized she has fallen in love. For her, the like she held towards Vincent was that of a lover, and she wondered what it'll take to help him realize her feelings. Though she couldn't confess outright as it was embarrassing. So, she silently followed after his footsteps like a meek squirrel with chubby cheeks. Where are we going? Peter asked. To eat, Vincent replied. Who is gonna pay? Don't worry about it. It's my treat, Vincent said before he entered the restaurant with his friends. After eating in a nearby restaurant that was famous for its food, they returned to the orphanage with a few parcels of various dishes for the members of the orphanage. Thanks for the meal. The members of the orphanage thanked Vincent as they enjoyed and savored the delicious food, and while they were at it, Vincent excused himself and headed to his room. He didn't care much about spending money as in the near future. Financial matters could easily be resolved through selling magic scrolls. A single magic scroll was worth 100,000 Federation cash. Furthermore, the price increased depending on the type and quality of the magic scroll. Besides, he thought that it was worth it, spending a little cash to make the kids smile. For now, he headed to his room to create the Fireball magic scroll. He had all the necessary resources to create one, after all. But now he just needed to focus on inscribing the inscription pattern of Fireball on the magic scroll. I Superscript 1 Daily Mission activated. Master of Creating Magic Scrolls as Superscripto. I Superscript 1 Task. Create a distinct magic scroll every day. A Superscripto. I Superscript 1 Reward 1. Inscription pattern that the owner does not know of. I Superscript 1 Reward 2. 50 experience points. A Superscripto. Vincent's lips thinned into a smile as traces of surprise flashed in his eyes as he looked at the semi-transparent screen that suddenly popped up in front of him. Interestingly, I can gain knowledge of inscription patterns and earn experience points at the same time by creating a different magic scroll every day, Vincent internally thought as happiness bubbled in his heart. It was costly to learn inscription patterns. The teachers who homeschooled him only taught him the patterns of some basic auxiliary inscriptions, while Old Miller taught him about the patterns of Water Shield, Fireball, and so on. It's because the knowledge of inscription patterns wasn't widespread. All in all, knowledge about inscription could only be purchased by paying a certain price or accepting a renowned inscriptionist as a master. Though now, he will be able to learn new inscription patterns without paying a single cent. Although he was happy, a question still bugged him. How come my life feels like a game? What is the deal about missions, Blood? Vincent internally asked. I Superscript 1 It will take a few moments for me to explain. A Superscripto. Go on. I Superscript 1 It's a tradition for the heads of the Sang family to infuse a part of their power in the heirloom for the next head. However, the next head needs to pass the trials of the previous heads to obtain the power infused inside the pendant. In our case, it seems like the 9th head modified the trials to fit your taste. A Superscripto. Father is really good to me, Vincent internally thought. It's all good, but I wonder what this trial is truly about. I Superscript 1 In this time and age, everything rides on having power, money, political or military backing. Selling magic scrolls is an easy way to gain money and a lot of it on top of that, and you'll be able to form connections with various parties too. That is what the 9th Seda Superscripto Blood remarked. Vincent knew that power comes in all forms, not just physical and magical strength. It's widely acknowledged that knowledge is power, after all. In simpler words, By becoming famous as an inscriptionist, he'll not only befriend people with status, but his status and worth will grow increasingly. That's a matter of the future, however, and first off, he needs to complete the baby steps. He walked up to his desk and pulled out all the necessary items to create the magic scroll from the shopper and the drawers, one by one. First of all, he placed the blood vial on his desk. The vial contained the elemental heart blood of a fire beast. He continued by placing the magic scroll and energy conducting brush on the table. He picked up the energy conducting brush before dipping it into the vial containing fire blood. The moment it was stained with sufficient blood, he pulled it out before pouring magic power in it and swinging it, efficiently using the beast blood as ink to inscribe the fireball inscription pattern on the blank magic scroll. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As the tip of the brush, which was glistening with the scarlet elemental heart blood of a fire beast, lightly glided on the empty paper of the magic scroll, a fine, red line gushed out from the end of the brush and etched onto the paper. Vincent's actions were nimble yet smooth, as if he was drawing the same patterns for the 400th time. After inscribing the first pattern of the fireball inscription patterns, he proceeded to draw the second one. The fireball inscription was made up of 33 patterns and he still needed to draw 32 more. There are two parts of the creation of a fireball magic scroll. First off, a person needs to inscribe the complete fireball inscription patterns in the magic scroll. This part depended on the exceptional memory of a person and the control over the movements of hands. He had been memorizing inscription patterns and practicing inscribing them on papers for more than 3 years. In the past, he had inscribed hundreds to thousands of identical inscriptions on a piece of paper. As for fireball inscription patterns, he had practiced drawing those patterns around 300 times. Basically, he had memorized the fireball inscription patterns by heart. When Vincent was drawing the 5th pattern, he realized that his control over the movement of his hands has increased due to an increase in his agility. Albeit time and mentally taxing, it wouldn't be a lie to say that it is easy for me to create a fireball magic scroll, Vincent internally thought as he picked up the pace to finish creating a fireball magic scroll in half an hour. He was still serious and concentrated when inscribing the patterns on the magic scroll. His eyes stared fixedly at the magic scroll beneath his brush as his hand moved continuously and inscribed one pattern after the other onto the magic scroll. He was not being tardy as he aiming for 100% success rate. Otherwise, he's bound to fail. He had purchased multiple magic scrolls as he wanted to create more than just a single fireball magic scroll. After all, even if this magic scroll proves useless for the entrance examination of the military academy, it'll still be useful in fighting against hordes of beasts. Just 3 more patterns left. Vincent's right hand's wrist moved nimbly as it controlled the brush in his hand to inscribe the last 3 patterns of the fireball inscription on the magic scroll at a shocking speed. There was a huge chance of failure if a person uses more elemental heart blood than the required amount, as it can cause the design to become unstable and the paper to burn into ashes. However, his wrist movements were skilled and smooth, so was his precision. He dipped the brush in just the perfect amount of elemental heart blood before inscribing a pattern of the fireball inscription. When the complicated and profound patterns of the fireball inscription were successfully inscribed on the magic scroll, the scarlet patterns abruptly shone in scarlet light. It meant that there was not even a hint of error, and he had inscribed the patterns perfectly. It's all thanks to years of hard work. Wonderful. Vincent's eyes squinted low in happiness as he gazed at the dozens of complicated scarlet patterns interlocked to create a complex and mysterious fireball inscription that gave off an archaic and ferocious vibe. However, it was still an empty husk. He still needed to integrate a source of energy, and only then will the magic scroll be completed. In the second part, a person needs to integrate the fiery energy present inside the beast core with the magic scroll, Vincent thought as he placed the fire beast core in the center of the magic scroll. Integrate, Vincent exclaimed as he performed hand signs which caused magic power to burst out of the tip of his fingers. Pressing on the core and forcefully integrated the energy inside the core into the magic scroll. A few days ago, Vincent's magic power capacity, to say the least, was pathetic inconsiderate of his age, but now, it has increased to 100 units of the maximum limit of his unique body. The total amount of magic power a person could hold in his body was important when creating magic scrolls. After all, a huge amount of magic power or its source mana was required to integrate the energy inside the beast core into the magic scroll. The integration process was easy since he had 100 units of magic power to spare. Guided by his magic power that depleted rapidly, 1/3 of the fiery energy present inside the fire core of the red risk element integrated with the magic scroll in just 3 minutes. It's finally done. The wind gusts carried the fallen leaves through the window and into his room as dozens of ruby red-colored patterns transformed into red streaks of fire and intertwined to slowly shape into an intimidating fiery sphere. This magic scroll contains a devastating power and it would release a projectile fireball the moment it is activated. Vincent thought with a happy grin as he could feel the heat emitting out of the magic scroll. I superscript 1 Congratulations, you've created a fireball magic scroll. A superscript O. I superscript 1 The creation of the fireball inscription has been registered in the database. Next time, you won't be able to complete the daily mission by creating a fireball inscription. A superscript O. I superscript 150 XP gained. A superscript O. I superscript 1 LV3, 6300. A superscript O. I superscript 1 detected. It's the first time you've created a magic scroll. You've been rewarded with 100 extra experience points. A superscript O. I superscript 1 LV3, 160-300. A superscript O. I superscript 1 You've gained the right to obtain knowledge about the lesser healing inscription. I can transmit the information directly to your mind. Will you accept? I superscript O. Yes, please do that, Vincent internally said, and he then obtained knowledge regarding the lesser healing inscription. The lesser healing inscription is used to create a magic scroll that is best used to relieve stress and tiredness and heal small wounds and bruises. It is pretty good, Vincent said as he closed his eyes, trying to recover his magic power through breathing in the magic power present in his surroundings. He had the resources necessary to create 2 more fireball magic scrolls, but he was left with only 10 units of magic power after just creating the fireball magic scroll. The integration process requires 90 units of magic power. Therefore, he needed to recover at least 90 units of magic power to create 1 more fireball magic scroll. After several minutes, Vincent opened his eyes as his magic power has recovered to 100 units. He then started to inscribe fireball inscription patterns onto a new magic scroll. Within the familiar lit room, Vincent had a concentrated expression on his face as he focused on inscribing the inscription patterns on the magic scroll. He was entirely focused on creating 2 more fireball magic scrolls. The magic scrolls shifted as time passed, slowly transforming into scrolls with complicated and profound patterns, brimming with ferocious fiery powers. In a few hours, I've successfully created 3 fireball magic scrolls, Vincent exclaimed in excitement as now he possessed 3 trump cards. By the time Vincent was done with creating fireball magic scrolls, it was already midnight. Honestly, he could have been done with it in merely 2 hours, but he was limited by his magic power capacity and regeneration rates. Anyway, he was happy as he had created 3 magic scrolls, proving that his success rate in creating fireball magic scrolls has reached 100%. It's already midnight. I still need to pack my stuff. After all, I won't get the chance to pack after a good night's sleep as the entrance examination of the military academy will be held early in the morning tomorrow. Vincent said, I need to first become the owner of this ring so that I can store my items in a more secure place. Vincent opened the metallic ring box before he took out the user manual and the black serpent ring. He then proceeded to read the user manual. It explained how to bind the storage device to oneself. Binding works in the same way as a smartphone screen lock, except for him. No one else will be able to access the storage device of the ring. He placed the user manual on the table after reading all of its content. Then he picked up the ring and brought it close to his face. The black serpent ring, like its name, was black in color and inscription patterns of the same color were inscribed all over it, and it was in the shape of a coiled snake. I superscript 1 Black Serpent Ring A superscript O. I superscript 1 Storage 0100 A superscript O. I superscript 1 Status Ownerless A superscript O. I superscript 1 Usage. The owner will become the owner of this storage device once you pour magic power into it till you are bound with a storage ring and gain ownership over it. Once you gain ownership over the ring, the owner will be able to retrieve the items inside by using his magic power. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Prose, an esoteric ring with a subspace inside it. The owner can store items in this ring by using the storage screen. The owner can retrieve items inside of this ring with a mere thought. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Cons. Only a single item can be retrieved from the ring every 5 seconds. The storage space is limited. It can only carry 3 tons worth of items. Can be destroyed. A superscript O. The size and weight that this storage device could contain might be limited. Nonetheless, Vincent considered it to be a treasure as it was capable of storing items. Let's follow the instructions mentioned in the user's manual and finish the 2-step verification first, Vincent thought as he breathed into the ring. The ring glowed before changing to green. After that, he poured 20 units of magic power into the Black Serpent ring. Vincent felt that he has established a mystical connection with the ring as it absorbed his magic power. The 2-step verification added an extra layer to his storage device in case it gets stolen. Now that he has set up 2-step verification, he can access the storage screen only by using his breath. Similarly, the only way to take items from inside the storage device was by using his magic power. Naturally, he can update this information as he likes later on. Now it was time to start packing. Open storage screen, Vincent commanded by breathing into the ring. As soon as he said those words, a semi-transparent screen popped up in front of his vision. The storage screen was similar to the inventory of any game. The storage screen showed 100 boxes and an item could be stored in each one of them. He could expand the storage space, but that would require a lot of resources and cash. Though for now, 100 slots for storing items were more than enough for him. Vincent wasn't much of a materialistic person and he didn't have a lot of things. He started to store his belonging in the storage device. He only needed to touch the storage screen with an item he wants to store and it was stored in the inventory. A few minutes passed by as he stored the portrait of his parents, some clothes, beast weapons, 3 fireball magic scrolls, a few thousand Federation's cash, and 100 pieces of low-level magic stones that he earned by completing the Adventure Association mission into his Black Serpent ring. Thankfully, cash and small items like magic stones can be stored in a single slot in larger quantities. To store 100 pieces of magic stones, only 3 slots were used, Vincent said as he looked at the first 30 slots of the storage device that were occupied. But the remaining 70 slots could still be used as he hasn't met the maximum weight limit. Everything he needed has been packed in the ring that he wore on the index finger of his right hand. Only a half-empty vial of the elemental heart blood of a fire-type beast was left on his study table. Let's drink it, Vincent thought as he used his special ability to purify the beast's blood. Then, he opened the lid of the vial and poured the delicious content inside of it into his mouth. The blood sweetened his mouth but also tingled his tongue with a burst of spiciness as it went down his throat. I superscript 1 Your strength has increased to 49 points. A superscript O. I superscript 1 You've gained 3.33% of fire ability cells. I superscript 1 Ability cells in progress, 33/100%. A superscript O. I superscript 1 The owner will awaken as a fire ability user once the progression rate reached 100%. A superscript O. Vincent's eyes opened wide in surprise and his mouth gaped as he stared at the notifications with a fervent look of excitement. Everyone needs to consume evolution material to gain ability cells. In contrast, I can gain ability cells by drinking the purified version of the elemental heart blood of beasts. Vincent's lips thinned into a smile. Furthermore, the cost of blood is far cheaper when compared to evolution materials. In the future, I can sell evolution material at a good price, using what I earned to purchase beast's blood. This way, not only will I keep my addiction and hunger in check, but I'll also produce ability cells. In the morning, the street near the glistening cloud tower was bustling with people as the entrance examination of the military academy was going to begin soon. One could see many youngsters, ranging from 15 to 17 years of age, gathering in front of booths, where the first assessment of the entrance examination is going to be held. The streets are packed with people, Peter said as he breathed in the chilly air. What did you expect? Everyone wants to enroll in the academy as it is better to gain experience in fighting against beasts and monsters before conscription, Layla said. There is a lot of people, Vincent said while looking at the thousands of people around his age standing in front of him. I wonder how long it'll take for our turn to arrive. From the looks of it, it's gonna take a while, Peter said. Sigh. I even missed breakfast to come here early. On Earth, the entrance examination of the military academy is held only once every 2 years, on the second day of the second month of every even year. If an Earthling happens to miss it at the age of 16, then there was no hope to ever enroll in the academy. It was no wonder why the streets were packed with peoples. A lot of boys and girls stood in the open streets located near the front entrance of the Tower of Clouds. A huge stage with 3 chairs could be seen in the center of it all. A lot of testing booths draped with a piece of dark cloth were established all around the stage. An examiner sat inside each of the testing booths. Look, it's the famous Angelic Medic of the military academy, a boy said while pointing at a gorgeous woman with long and wavy golden hair and blue eyes, who walked up the stairs and sat on one of the 3 seats placed on a giant stage. She was wearing a white fur coat, a half-sleeves t-shirt, skirt, and knee-high socks that exposed some parts of her smooth and supple skin. She looked like a cute and holy angel. Since she's here, Alex the alchemist must also be around. As soon as a young boy said those words, a middle-aged man with black hair, sharp and scholarly features, and rosy lips walked up the stairs and sat on an empty chair placed beside the chair in the center. Damn. How come your guess is correct? It wasn't a guess. Haven't you heard that they are like lovebirds? It's a confirmed rumor that you will find Alex wherever Kale is. In the military academy, Alex was the instructor in charge of professions related to alchemy, while Kale was the school nurse. They were dispatched here with the instructor in charge of combat classes in the academy to conduct the entrance exam. But they couldn't start the examination as that person was also their immediate superior. So they waited for him to arrive. Standing inside of the tower that reached the skies, Theodore Roosevelt glanced in the directions of the boys and girls through the glass window. The 2 discarded children of the great royal families are here. It's as I expected it to be. I hope Nevis Druemite and Varth Hollow will live up to my expectations. In this day and age, streams of stars are inhabited by humans, demi-humans, and their creations such as sentient robots. The planets are connected through worlds connecting expanses. The royal families and their subsidiaries such as guilds rule these planets. On the other hand, the noble families rule over a tract of land on the planets ruled by the royal families. Although there are a lot of royal families in this day and age, most of the planets are ruled by the 4 great royal families. However, being born into a great royal family isn't considered a fortune for most of the peoples who are born in one of them. After all, the descendants deemed useless are discarded, removed from the main family grounds for simple reasons, and transported back to Earth. The discarded include children born out of wedlock and those who fail to live up to the expectations of the family elders and family head. There were 2 descendants of the great royalties among the many candidates that were here to participate in the entrance examination. They didn't need to serve military time as they were royalties, but they were still here. Theodore could guess their reason somewhat. The academy was a wonderful opportunity for many discarded royalties to show their worth and earn the attention of the main family. 1. Druemite Royal Family A. Nevis Druemite. 2. Hollow Royal Family A. Varth Hollow. His gaze lasted on them for only a few seconds and he then looked away from them. Well, where's the kid that recently became an adventurer? Theodore's gaze swept across everyone as he tried to find a boy he recently gained interest in, but it was kinda hard to find the one he was looking for in the sea of people. A few seconds later, his lips stretched back to expose a smile. "There he is," Theodore thought as he stared at Vincent, who was standing at the very end of the line with Layla and Peter. He has grown stronger compared to a few days ago. He must have had quite the fortunate encounter to raise his strength so quickly. Seems like he is quite the lucky fellow. Well, luck is also a part of a person's strength. No doubt about it. Besides, the demi-human lass and lad standing beside him aren't shabby either. Though the lad will suffer a bit until the ability affinity test. That was the end of his evaluation. Only a few among the lots of them garnered his interest. After all, according to him, the rest will either fail the examination or score pretty badly. He took a step forward and seemingly teleported to the huge stage that was dozens of floors away from him. The thousands of boys and girls began to mumble as he suddenly appeared out of thin air. Huh? How did that person suddenly appear out of nowhere? Who is he? Must be a big shot. Theodore walked to the chair in the middle of the stage and sat down on it, legs crossed and hands intertwined. He was wearing all black boots, pants, and a military jacket zipped halfway to expose a pendant with snowy patterns and a black shirt, and a pair of aqua blue sunglasses that hid his eyes from the world. Silence. The examination is about to start. Alex's voice spread throughout the streets as it was amplified with battle energy. As soon as he said those words, silence replaced the bustling streets. "After you," Theodore said to Kale. "Okay." Kale nodded, and her gaze then swept across the streets. The entrance examination is divided into several assessments. We'll keep it simple and explain the rules of the several assessments one by one if you by chance manage to pass the previous assessment. Theodore wanted to know how well the people who have garnered his attention will do. So, he didn't waste time and immediately began to explain the rules of the first assessment of the entrance examination to the young ones. The first round of the examination is to determine your level of sensitivity to energy and the surrounding. In your case, it'll be magic power. The higher your sensitivity to magic power, the greater your talent. We only accept talented individuals. Naturally, it doesn't have to be heaven-defying. You only need a grade 3 energy sensitivity to pass the first examination. After that, we will take the students who passed to the second round of the examination. An entire era ago, when the world-connecting spaces opened up in space and magic power first seeped inside our world, the humans quickly learned to harness magic power. We learned that some peoples were able to absorb magic power from the surroundings and energy resources faster than others. At first, due to their capabilities of absorbing energy far faster than others, those people were labeled as talented individuals. However, later on, it was found out that the rate of magic power absorption is directly related to a person's sensitivity to energies. Through further research, the researchers found out that a person's sensitivity to energy is directly related to their bodily conditions. A person with a good constitution and healthy body are more sensitive to energies than a person with a bad constitution and unhealthy body. The experts introduced a chart for energy sensitivity and it was quickly adapted into the three major power systems, namely, Magic Technique System, Transcendental Grade Combat Techniques, and Abilities. The chart categorized the energy sensitivity of the humans and demi-humans into 100 grades, with the first grade as the worst and the 100th grade as the best. These grades are further divided into 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on. The average human and demi-human have a grade 1 sensitivity to magic power. A person with grade 2 energy sensitivity absorbs magic power 2 times faster than the average person. Similarly, a person with grade 3 energy sensitivity absorbs magic power 3 times faster than the average person. Naturally, there are many other uses of having a better sensitivity to energy. However, for now, you guys are not worthy of such knowledge. Now you may enter the booths to get tested for your sensitivity to energy. Theodore spoke softly, but his crystal clear voice rang in the ears of everyone present. Yes, sir, the examinees exclaimed as they gazed at Theodore with a respectful expression. First off, he was powerful, and secondly, he explained the history of energy sensitivity to the students to clear their confusion about the subject. He immediately left a favorable impression in the minds of the students. The test began right after Theodore's explanation, and as luck would have it, Nevis was among the first to enter the booth. Hello, Nice to meet you. Please come up to the table and place your hand on this crystal ball. This crystal ball is called Energy Affinity Crystal. It will reveal your sensitivity to energy once you inject a little bit of your magic power into it, the examiner said with a smile the moment Nevis entered the booth. Nevis was a young boy with a slender build and silky silver hair, very pale skin, and a beauty mark under the left corner of his left aqua blue eye. His narrow jawline and wholesome eyes intensified his handsomeness by a whole level. He wore a short-sleeved black jacket over his long-sleeved white shirt and a black pant that went well with boots of matching colors. A twisted horn-shaped amulet made of some type of beast bone hung from his neck. He also wore fingerless black gloves with inscription patterns drawn on the backhand. Right. Nevis nodded his head as he walked up to the table with a relaxed and carefree expression. An inky black crystal ball was placed on the table. It was similar in size to a football and had an arcane feel to it. He placed his palm on top of the crystal ball before slowly injecting magic power into it. After the passage of a few seconds, the crystal released a mesmerizing blue glow. He was currently staring straight at the crystal ball. The glow reflecting in his tender eyes and shining on Nevis's handsome face intensified. Then, all of a sudden, 88 blue speckles appeared inside the crystal ball. Can you announce the result? Nevis looked expectantly at the examiner. Your sensitivity to energy is 8.8 times better than an average person. In simpler words, your energy sensitivity grade is 8.8. You're eligible to know more about the energy system now that you've passed the first assessment. Will you to hear about it? The examiner asked without a hint of impatience on his face. Nevis felt pretty satisfied as his sensitivity to energy was better than average. He was still a young man, a human in his prime condition. As long as he consumes enough resources to improve the quality of his body, he'll be able to intensify his sensitivity to energy. Yes, please tell me more about it, Nevis said as he looked at the examiner sitting in his seat. He was a bastard son of the Truemite family and it was hard for him to get his hands on any sort of information. He was royalty, yet even the servants of the house bullied him. His mother died early and his father, the head of the family, didn't even spare a glance toward his direction. That's the main reason why even the servants dared to bully him. But the masterminds who incited the servants to bully him were his half-siblings. Nevis wanted to enter the military academy as it was an escape from his life, and it was also a mean of fulfilling his dreams of finding friends and becoming someone truly loved by others. Anyway, he was lacking a lot of information as the people of his family didn't let a child like him who was born out of wedlock to enter the royal library. You might never have heard of it, but the speed of magic power purification also depends on a person's sensitivity to energy. In the future, it will be easy for you to purify your magic power from all impurities, evolving it into mana. Mana is the evolved version of magic power. 1 unit of mana is equal to 10 units of magic power. In a sense, you'll be able to contain 500 units of magic power in your heart, the examiner explained before he covered his mouth and yawned. A human heart can contain 50 units of magic power. That was the limit. But once a person purifies magic power into mana, it's the same as storing 500 units of magic power in the heart. After all, a human and demi-human heart can contain 50 units of mana. Having a greater capacity of energy means being able to use a powerful form of one's abilities and also magic techniques. I understand, Nevis nodded. You may proceed to rest in the lobby of the first floor of the Tower of Clouds, the examiner said as he handed over a white card to Nevis. Just show this card to the droids standing guard at the entrance of the Cloud Tower and they'll take you to the lobby. I got it, Nevis replied before stepping out of the booth, and he then headed towards the entrance of the Cloud Tower. With the help of a droid half his size, he reached the lobby where he sat on one of the many empty sofa chairs to rest. He wasn't the first one to come here as more than 5 peoples were already here. The examinees went into the booths, one by one. Everyone was able to illuminate the crystal ball on the table. However, the people whose sensitivity to energy didn't surpass grade 2 were instantly disqualified. They left the testing booth with a foul mood and some even cried out in the middle of the packed streets. The sadness welling up in their hearts was well worth it. as they had lost the best chance of their lives. Most of them were commoners and the military academy was the easiest way to upgrade their status. Yet, they didn't even pass the first assessment. Their dreams were shattered in a single moment. It didn't take long for Vath'Hollow turn to arrive. His sensitivity to energy was worse than Nevis Truemite, but he was still a level above the average passing grade. His sensitivity to energy was 5.9. It isn't a good grade, but you don't look even a bit sad, the examiner said as he looked at Vath. I'm a person that heavily relies on the usage of the new world's technology to match up to prodigies. Why would a measly grading system dampen my mood? Vath replied with a smile. Whatever you say. The examiner motioned for him to leave the testing booth. His grade was more than enough to pass the test and he soon arrived at the resting lobby. The assessment continued and soon it was Peter's and Layla's turn. Congratulations, young boy. Your sensitivity to energy like magic power is 3 times better than an average person. You passed the first assessment by a hairbreadth. Peter wiped the layer of sweat on his forehead, breathing a sigh of relief as he left the testing booth with shaky steps. Thank God. I should really give a treat to Big Brother. If it wasn't for him I would have failed the very first assessment. Truth is, Peter's vessel expanded by a lot in the last few days. And now he was able to contain 20 units of battle energy. Basically, his body constitution has increased to 20 units over the past few days. It was a result of hardcore training and also because of the uniqueness of his own body that he didn't realize. A person's sensitivity to energy is always a grade higher than their body constitution. 20 points in the body constitution signify a grade 2 constitution. A person with a grade 2 constitution will have a grade 3 sensitivity to energy. Peter barely met the minimum requirement for passing the first assessment of the Military Academy entrance examination. He didn't head straight to the Cloud Tower as he wanted to go there together with his sister. He stood near the testing booth that Layla entered and waited for her to come out of there. Good gracious! The examiner's pretty eyes opened wide and his mouth gaped as he stared at Layla with a bewildered expression on her face. Am I broken, bar miss? Is something wrong? Did I fail the test? Layla asked while feeling sad at the thought of failing the test. Nope, you didn't fail the assessment. Rather, you asked it. You see, these basic grade energy affinity crystals can be used as sensitivity to energy between the 1st and 10th grades. Any higher than that and they'll fail to work. Your energy sensitivity is better than the 10th grade since it failed to work. We'll need to get an intermediate grade energy affinity crystal as your sensitivity surpasses grade 10. You're so young. This can only be considered a huge surprise, the examiner said as she felt awed by the cute little girl in front of her. A young man around the age of 16 was considered talented if his sensitivity to energy is grade 9 or grade 10. Any more than that and that person will be considered as a prodigy. The Academy didn't believe that they'll find extraordinary individuals during the assessment held in a place like Earth, and so they only brought a few advanced grade testing equipment with them. What should we do now? Layla asked the examiner. You wait here for a while. I'll request an upgraded version of this crystal from my higher-ups. Okay, Layla nodded. Honestly, even she was surprised by her superior sensitivity to energy. Previously, she wasn't much better than Peter in terms of strength. However, not only has she gotten stronger after the evolution process, but her bodily conditions have also increased greatly. It's all thanks to Big Brother Vincent. He saved my life, granting me a new one in which I have a far better body and strength. Layla internally thanked Vincent. She wanted to repay his grace as he has done a lot for her and her little brother. She knew that Big Brother Vincent has gone out of his way to training her little brother over the past few days. There is a talented individual in my booth. I am requesting a better version of the testing equipment. Please send it to me as soon as possible, the examiner said to Gale. Request confirmed. A handyman carrying an intermediate grade energy affinity crystal is dispatched to your location, Gale replied before she told Alex to go there. This is the second person. Looks like this year's entrance exam is going to be fruitful, Theodore said with a pleased expression on his face as he sipped hot milk tea from the plastic cup held in his hand. Yeah, but I still don't feel happy with this situation, Gale said with a frown. Why? What makes you so unhappy? Why are you acting like you don't know? Just looking at the face of that bastard Alex makes me feel nauseous, but the higher-ups still dispatched us both at the same location. Are they looking to pick a fight with me? I don't think so. Wait. You, Kale pointed at him. You're acting skeptically. You know something about this messed up situation, right? Kale said as she leaned closer to Theodore, their noses almost sticking to each other. No need to get so aggressive. No one likes an aggressive female. That's why you're still single. Senior, would you like to get punched in the face? If so, please keep on blabbering. No thanks. My face is too precious and I would rather not get hurt for no reason. It's not like I had any intentions to hide it from you. You just didn't ask before. Will you tell me now that I am asking? Sure. I heard that Alex requested the higher-ups to dispatch you here. Though you should take it as a rumor as I haven't confirmed the validity of this information. You know, I am too busy to do that, Theodore said calmly, accurately throwing the empty cup into a dustbin dozens of meters away. Ugh, what's that bastard up to now? Kale grumbled with a twisted face as she felt sick with the psychopathic ways of Alex. Here's the equipment you requested, Alex said after entering booth number 6. Just place it on the table, the examiner said as she looked at Alex. All right. Alex returned to the huge stadium in a few minutes after placing the ball on the table. Layla passed the first assessment with flying marks once she injected magic power into the beta version of the energy affinity crystal. Her sensitivity to energy was grade 16. Her potential matched the potential of the youngest son of the great Walken family. Layla and Felix Walken were the only two amongst the thousands of candidates that needed to use an intermediate grade energy affinity crystal ball as their sensitivity to energy far surpassed others. Hey, I am here, Peter said, while waving his hand. Coming. Haven't you been waiting for me? Layla said after walking up to him. Yeah, it has only been a few minutes though, Peter said. Tell me, how did you do? Pretty good, Layla replied. Tell me about yourself. Pretty bad, but I managed to pass. Anyway, should we wait for him or go ahead? He told me to not wait for him. Sure, let's head towards the lobby, Peter said as he walked towards the Cloud Tower with his sister. A few minutes later, Layla and Peter reached the lobby. They sat on the sofas placed around a round glass coffee table. The lobby was extremely large and it could house around a maximum of 500 peoples. A lot of people who passed the first assessment were already seated in place here, and multiple droids were serving refreshments to each one of them. Naturally, Peter called one to be served something fresh as he hasn't eaten anything since last night. Adding on the nervousness that seeped into every fiber of his being during the test, he was feeling completely famished. Only after eating a lot of good stuff for free did he feel happiness enriching his heart and warmness filling his stomach. How long do we have to wait here? Felix Walken asked with a nasty frown. A droid answered his question. Until everyone outside gets tested. How can those commoners dare to make a royalty like me wait? They are needed to be taught a lesson, he exclaimed arrogantly for everyone in the lobby to hear. Nobody dared to look in his direction as he was a descendant of the Walken family. The Walken family is a part of the 4 great families. In the past, there were 6 royal families and each mastered a distinct elemental ability. They were called the elemental royal families. However, these elemental families merged into one big family and became powerful enough to earn the title of the 4th Great Royal Family. The Great Royal Walken family was comprised of 6 royal families, namely, Wind, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, and Darkness. At any time, the Walken family has 6 elemental lords, 6 saintesses, and 1 family head. The family is ruled by the family head. The 6 elemental lords act as juries. These 6 lords each cultivate a saintess who becomes the wife of the Walken family head. As per the oath that was taken during the merging of the 6 families, the family head needed to marry women from all 6 royal families and then make babies with them. That's the only way to keep matters stable and the families merged. Though the current Walken family head loved the Saintess of Fire the most. Felix was her youngest child. He was spoiled since a young age as he was the youngest and the most beloved child of the first wife of the head of the Walken family. He was kicked out of the main family planet and transported to Earth as the head of the family could no longer overlook his misdeeds. Walken loved his wife, but he cherished the position of the family head even more. The 6 elemental lords have bounded together and lodged a complaint against Felix. Coerced into a corner by the main powerhouses of the family head decided to discard this child of his to safeguard his position. Felix was told that he is being sent here to be trained by a friend of his father, but he would have never thought that he'll have to pass the time-consuming assessment first. Worst of all, he now needed to wait in this cramped place because of some lazy bumps. Most of the lazy bumps were shedding tears of sadness and sorrow. After more than 400 students failed within an hour or so, the atmosphere seemed to be tinged with a feeling of nervousness. The rate of failure signified that the passing rate for the first round of examination was too low. My turn has finally arrived. It wasn't easy to stand in this chilling cold for more than an hour, Vincent said, stepping inside the booth. I superscript 1 A new mission has been initiated. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Task. Pass the assessment test. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Reward. +3 body constitution stat. A superscript O. I superscript 1 The owner will gain additional reward for an above-average assessment grade. A superscript O. Just as he entered the booth, a few notifications popped up in front of him. So I will earn extra awards if I get a grade better than the passing marks. Nice, Vincent thought as he jovially walked up to the table. Inject your magic power into the crystal ball and it'll reveal your grade, the examiner said as she rubbed her tired eyes. She has been repeating the same dialogue for the past few hours and it has taken a toll on her. Vincent followed her instructions and injected his magic power into the crystal ball. After a momentary delay, 5 clouds and 2 twinkling speckles appeared inside the crystal ball. Your energy sensitivity grade is 5.2, it's pretty nice considering your young age, the examiner said. At the same time, Vincent received a mission clear notice. I superscript 1 mission has been completed. A superscript O. I superscript 1 You've been rewarded with +3 body constitution stats. A superscript O. I superscript 1 You've passed the assessment with an above average score. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Additional stat point will be awarded. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Your body constitution has increased to 46 points. A superscript O. The examiner sends him off to the Cloud Tower after explaining the uses of magic power sensitivity. I believe that sensitivity to energy is also directly related to a person's body constitution. Am I right? Vincent internally said to Blood. I superscript 1 It is as you concluded. The owner can increase your sensitivity to magic power by improving your body conditions. A superscript O. Vincent was feeling pretty good. After all, he could increase his sensitivity to magic power by using attribute points to improve the state of his body constitutions. The same can be done by consuming the blood of beasts. After a few hours, all of the people outside of the Cloud Tower were assessed. Those who passed were directed to the lobby. Those who failed returned to their homes. The examinees waiting inside the lobby numbered around 200. This number was pretty chilling, especially when Vincent considered the fact that more than 1,000 people came to take the entrance examination. Most of the students were chatting with each other, some were excited about the next rounds of assessment while the others talked about the best of the bunch. Layla and Felix were the centers of attention. Although their lights far outshined Nevis and the others, they were still looked highly upon by the instructor of combat. Their chitter-chatter quickly stopped as soon as the 3 head examiners entered the lobby. It looks like everyone who passed is present here. I congratulate you all for passing the first assessment. Now, you guys only need to pass 4 more assessments to become a student at our military academy. Before we start the next assessment, register yourselves as temporary students by binding with a temporary student identification card that the droids will have over to you, Theodore said before he went ahead and sat on the sofa beside Vincent. You don't mind, do you? Theodore asked as he looked at Vincent and his companion. Nope, Vincent replied. I never imagined that you were the instructor of combat, and it's pretty surprising, to say the least. Didn't I say I'll see you soon? Theodore replied with a smile. Yeah, you did say that, Vincent replied. In the next few tests, I advise you to try your best. Theodore whispered in his ears before walking away from the lobby. It seemed like his only reason to come to the lobby was to have a small chat with Vincent. "What did he say?" Peter asked. "Just some words of encouragement," Vincent replied as he sipped some cold latte from a tin can. The droids handed a pristine card to all the examinees in the lobby of the first floor of the Cloud Tower. The droids also explained how to bind to the identification card. They just needed to place their thumb on the thumb imprint at the back of the identification card to get registered as temporary students of the military academy. "What is this?" Peter said as the number 0 appeared on the front of the identification card once he registered as a temporary student. "It's the same for us." The number 0 also appeared in the center of Layla and Vincent's identification cards. "Just what meaning does this number hold?" "Whatever it is, we will find out soon," Vincent said. A few seconds after the examinees registered themselves as temporary students, the instructor in charge of medics that complained to Theodore about Alex appeared before them and said, "Hello, temps. As you might have already heard, I am Gale Walken. Listen well. The student identification card records your status. It will identify you as a permanent student of the military base established in the world's connecting expanse between Earth and the world of Loina once you pass the entrance examination. Only by using this card can you gain access to certain areas and attend certain classes in the academy. It's costly to create one, so you better not lose it." "Any questions?" A lot of students started asking a bunch of questions at the same time. "Act civil, one at a time," Kale shouted as she was met with a barrage of questions. "Yes, Mom." "Excuse me, Mom. May I ask what's the deal with the number in the center of our cards?" A student with a lanky build asked what everyone wanted to know. "Good question. The number being showcased in the center of your card is your military contribution points." "What is the use of the points?" "The points can be used to purchase all sorts of things that will make you strong, such as evolution materials, pills, and a lot of other stuff. But know that most areas of the military academy can only be accessed by utilizing your CP, contribution points." Kale's explanation helped the examinees understand the importance of the contribution points. These points were like virtual currency as they can purchase a lot of items by using these points. "How do we earn these points?" Vincent asked as he looked at Gale. "There are a lot of ways, but for now, you will be earning CP by performing well in the upcoming exams, so I advise you all to try your best." "Yes, Mom. We'll do our best." "Good. Follow me. I will lead you to the room of the next examination room," Kale said as she turned around and began walking away from the open lobby. The examinees followed after her like a group of ducklings chasing their mother. A few minutes later, Vincent and the other examinees arrived at the second floor by taking the escalators. "That is the Titan's Strength Examination Room. It's where you'll be tested for your strength. Now pass through these doors." Once you enter the room, the examiner in charge of this test will explain the rules to you, Kale said after she and the examinees reached in front of the huge entrance of room number 7. The instructor in charge of medical classes pushed open the door and the students walked inside in a straight line. After walking through a dimly lit passageway that resembled a rather large corridor, they stepped inside a wide and spacious room that was shaped like a volleyball court. Though the volleyball court contained a 7-meter-long and 6 meters wide inky black iron plate that was standing vertically in the middle of the court instead of a net, and there was a counter showing the number 0 attached on top of it. There was a raised platform beside the court. A lot of people clad in white holy clothing stood there. A table and 3 chairs were placed there. Also, Theodore and Gale sat there, cross-legged and drinking some kind of relaxation tea with a peaceful expression on their face, while Alex stood just a few meters away from the metallic plate. "Seems like the instructor used a different and more practical passage to reach the place earlier." "This room is larger than I thought," Layla said, while blinking once she entered the room. "Yeah, it looked far smaller from the outside than it actually is," Peter added as his gaze swept through the interior of the room. "It's probably because the interior of this room is expanded by using spatial technology," Vincent said as his eyes landed on the huge iron plate in the middle of the room. He was correct. Most of the rooms in the Cloud Tower utilized space-expanding items that increased their sizes by a considerable amount. "What is that metallic wall over there?" The students were chatting with each other, wondering whether the metallic plate is somehow related to the second assessment or not, as they occasionally glanced at the instructor sitting on the raised platform and the one standing in front of them for some clue. "Hi, my name is Alex Hollow. The bunch of you can call me just Alex. You might have guessed it already, but I will say it anyway. I will be your examiner for the second assessment. The purpose of this test is to see the full extent of your strength. Your strength will be assessed with the help of this big bad boy." Alex Hollow pointed towards the huge metallic plate at the center of the field and continued, "This is the iron wall of strength reflection. The force behind your attack will be revealed in the counter attached to the wall once you attack the iron wall. The counter will reveal the grade of your strength. The wall is extremely sturdy. Physical and magical attacks below grade 30 have no chance of shattering it. It also has other properties. What I am trying to say is that you can go all out against the wall, use your most powerful ability, magic technique, or transcendental grade combat technique on it without any worries, as you'll be earning contribution points according to the cumulative resulted grades." As soon as he said those words, excitement took over the soul of the temporary students. "Wow! We can earn contribution points. I am gonna give it my all in this strength to earn a huge amount of CP. I am fired up." "Try all you want, but I will be the one to ace this test." Felix Walken internally smiled. He was a fire ability user. Fire ability is said to be among the most destructive and powerful elemental abilities. He was confident in the strength of his ability. He was sure that he will step over all the examinees and earn the title of the strongest temporary student. "Settle down. I still haven't finished," Alex said. After the students' voices of excitement died down, he continued, "You can only take this test once. The minimum passing mark is grade 3. If you were to fail, then your status as a temporary student will be removed and you'll have to head back home. Lastly, you can't use external items in this test, weapons and magic scroll included." Hearing his words, some of the students showed a restless expression on their faces as if they couldn't wait to take the test, while the others became anxious and tense. If they are to fail this test, even if they are born extremely sensitive to energy, they will only have 2 to 3 years before they get conscripted into the military. The military academy entrance examination could only be taken once a lifetime. Vath Hollow frowned, taken aback by Alex's words. "Damn, this test is literally targeting me. I was thinking that I will use my items to ace the following test and in the end, get a cumulative better result. But the last rule of this test just shattered my initial plans." Vath Hollow internally thought. Vath depended a lot on items, and the fact could be seen from the 3 magical watches wore on his left hand. "If you have any questions about the test, then don't hesitate to ask me about it," Alex offered in a friendly tone. "What if we're injured?" A student who solely relied on using transcendental grade first techniques asked, as he feared that he will badly damage his hand by attacking the iron wall with full force. "Don't worry if you're injured, as we have come prepared. The healers are on standby, and they will perform instantly on anyone who requires medical care. Your injuries will be instantly healed, no matter how bad it is." Alex responded to him, assuring him that there is no need to fear the risk that comes with injury, as the healers can mend broken hands and shattered bones. "I also have a question. How is the strength grade determined?" a young man with raven green hair asked as he looked at Alex. "An average person has 10 points of strength. We have categorized strength into varying grades based on the strength of an average human, with grade 1 as the worst and the grade with the bigger number as the better. Grade 1 means that you're just as powerful as an average human. Grade 2 means that you're 2 times powerful than an average person, and so on," Alex explained. His eyes then swept across the rows of students as if saying that if you don't have any questions, then man up and come to take the test. "Don't mind if I do." A few seconds after Alex said those words, the young man with raven green hairs wearing a tracksuit stepped out from the crowd and walked up to the iron wall. His right hand balled into a fist as he pulled it back to his waist. One could see that he had activated his ability as his entire fist was covered in metal. Palin's right heel lifted while his left foot pressed on the ground as his hips turned and his arm sprung out toward the lower center of the iron wall. Bam! A reverberation sound of metal hitting against metal rang out, spreading throughout the room, as Palin exhaled sharply, wincing in pain. Even though his fist was covered in a metallic sheen, it was pretty thin and he felt as if his wrist had dislocated. 90 points. The system announced the force of strength behind Palin's attack as the number also appeared on the counter. You've passed. Your strength grade is 9, a higher-ranked grade for entrance exam examinees. Alex evaluated with a look of approval on his face. Thanks, sir. But I need medical attention, Palin said as he tried his best to not let tears of weakness seep out of his eyes. Yes, Alex said to Palin as he then motioned for one of the men clad in white holy clothing to come and heal Palin. The healer stepped down the raised platform and helped heal Palin's wrist to peak condition in a few minutes. Then Palin walked back to the crowds of students with a smile on his face. He high-fives with his friends. As they said words of praise, Palin smiled. He has passed the test of Titan's strength test with a good grade. Suddenly, a cold and old voice resounded in the air. Nothing special. I can do even better. Nothing special. I can do even better. Palin widened his eyes, trying to appear ferocious as he looked towards the person that said those words, only to see Felix Walken staring at him, and Palin hurriedly looked away from him without speaking. Damn! I can't afford to get in trouble with him, he internally thought. Palin was just a middle-class commoner who was born with metal elemental ability cells as both his parents were ability users and he couldn't afford to offend the fourth great royal family's head youngest descendant Felix. It wasn't just because he was a commoner, but also because he knew that Felix was far stronger than him, and offending a vengeful and arrogant person like him will make his life difficult. Ability cells are passed on from parent to child. It can be said that abilities are inherited genetically through the passage of ability cells from one's parents to oneself. A child will either inherit the father's ability cell, the mother's ability cell, both of their ability cells to possess two abilities, or possess a brand new ability formed by the fusion of two different types of ability cells. Naturally, the stronger the ability, the better the ability cells passed on to the child. Felix was born between the head of the Walken family and the Saintess of Flames. Any person with a sane mind can instantly determine that this arrogant brat was born with a powerful fire elemental ability. Didn't you want to say something? Felix taunted as he looked at Palin while walking towards the front of the crowd, unhurriedly. He was acting arrogantly. Yet the girls couldn't come to dislike him as he was very charming. His skin was as white as snow and his lips as red as rose, and this was the type of guy that most of the girls liked to ogle day and night. His red hair reached his waist. His reddish gold eyes were blinding to look at. He was also wearing a luxurious silver robe with tight sleeves, decorated in reddish gold patterns of a fiery dragon. Basically, he was both rich and handsome. Little silk pants. Shut up and take your turn. We don't have time to spare, Kale shouted, her voice sounding sweet to the ears of the student down below the raised platform. Felix internally rolled his eyes as he thought that it's hateful and embarrassing to have an older stepsister like her. She just ruined his display of might, after all. Let me show you how it is done, he exclaimed, raising his hands to face the huge iron wall. He used the magic power settled in his body to activate his ability cells. The temperature around him increased as fire was expelled from his hands and gathered in the center of his palm to create a swirling current of fiery energy that condensed to create a small fireball. The fireball grew increasingly as he channeled magic power into his fire cells with no intention of stopping, the destructive power of his attack increasing rapidly. Greater fireball, he exclaimed the very moment when the fireball has reached 5 times its initial size. The fireball in the form of a giant orb shoot out of his hands and maintained its shape until hitting the iron wall. Bomb! A resounding reverberation sounded as the greater fireball exploded upon contact with the iron wall, causing fire to burst outwards. The range of the attack spread to the bystanders, but they were protected by something that seemed like an energy barrier. 270 points. The system announced the force of strength behind Felix Walken's elemental attack as 3 red numbers also appeared on the counter. His single elemental attack was 27 times stronger than a normal human. Vath's hollow eyes brightened as he looked at Felix Walken. In the eyes of the young boy wearing 3 watches, Felix seemed no different than a treasure that will give him a free ride to the skies. Ha ha. Found my trump card. I've asked the test. Out of all these trash cans, none can deal a damage better than me, Felix shouted as he raised his head, smiling and muttering something along the line of how cool and invincible he is. His fire elemental attack was powerful enough to create many dents on the iron wall, and one could also see crater on the ground. Though the damage done by his attack simultaneously healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. You passed, Alex said as he motioned Felix to move back to the ground so that the next person can come and take the test. As he was walking back to the boisterous crowd, Vath came towards him, an excited expression on his face as he looked straight into his reddish gold eye and said, "You were amazing." I almost couldn't believe what I saw. His thin figure was clad in all black. A black coat was draped over his body. The coat hid most of his body. One could only make out the black trousers and a black necktie that he was wearing. A black mask covered almost all of his face, and only his swan-like white and slender neck and the right side of his face could be seen. Felix glanced towards him with squinted eyes, only to feel discomfort assaulting his senses when he saw Vath's grey eye staring right at him, but he didn't hurriedly looked away from him as his pride didn't allow it. What is the need to state the obvious? One-eye freak, Felix said as he intentionally brushed past his shoulder. Vath grinned happily as he looked away from Felix's eyes. A pleasant monotone voice belonging to the Galactic Analyzation System rang in his ears. I superscript 1 You've stared into the eyes of a fire ability user for 5 seconds. A superscript O. I superscript 1 The conditions to use the ability cell replication ability has been met. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Transforming hollow cells into fire cells. A superscript O. I superscript 1% A broken bar 30% A broken bar 100%. You have become a fire ability user. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Time left before fire cells return to hollow cells, 6 hours. A superscript O. I superscript 1 Daily ability copying chance, 2/3. Reset after 30 hours. A superscript O. Vath Hollow was a member of the second great royal family. The Hollow family possessed special hollow cells that can replicate the cells of others, and this very ability was one of the 3 reasons why they managed to earn the title of a great royal family. Though there was a condition to use this ability, Vath needed to look in the eyes of an ability user to copy their ability. He wanted to copy Felix's ability, and that's the only reason why he acted like a fool, swayed by the coolness of an arrogant bastard. I still want to give you my thanks for letting me borrow your ability. I will ace this test, all thanks to your innate fire cells. Vath Hollow shouted at Felix Walken, as he then raised his finger, pointing it at the iron wall that was a few meters away from him. Felix turned to look at him, only to see that his grey eye has turned red and a red tattoo has appeared above and under it. He instantly realized what Vath did, as he knew about the special ability of the Hollow family. Don't you dare! Felix shouted angrily. By that time, a very bright and small ball of flame was flickering above Vath's index finger. You're too late to ask for me to stop, Vath said with a laugh as he flicked his index finger forward. Ans Hun. The small ball of fire shot forward like a beam and landed on the center of the iron. As soon as it landed, almost instantaneously, a dull thud resounded. That's it. Ha ha ha, see that? Even if you copy my ability, you won't be able to utilize it correctly, Felix roared as waves of laughter escaped from his mouth. Kale slapped her head, thinking why her stepmother didn't slap some senses into her young, useless, and stupid stepbrother. The examiners sitting on the chairs, the ability user standing beside them, and the students who were paying close attention to the trajectory of his attack like Vincent could clearly see that Vath has condensed all the fire into a single small ball. It was so powerful that it has drilled a hole in the iron wall. One could even see the back from the hole. 377 points. Felix felt as if he had slapped himself on the face when the system announced the force of strength behind Vath's attack. What the hell? The eyes of most of the students opened wide in their gape as they looked at Vath with a bewildered expression. How could he do that? How is he able to use fire ability? Why did that tiny fireball contain such a devastating might? Awesome. Peter and Layla beamed, clapping hands in the air. It felt oddly satisfying to see someone arrogant like Felix getting fooled and losing face. I feel disrespected. How dare a young dog of the Hollow family steal my ability? Felix Walken said as his eyes murderously stared daggers at Vath Hollow. If looks could kill, then he would have already died a painful death multiple times. I have neither the time nor the time to answer a rude person like you who is arrogant but have no strength to back it up. If you feel bad about this, then come and bite me. Vath Hollow pointed the middle finger of his left hand at Felix. Take this up your ass and shut up for all I care, you bastard. Felix's eyes blazed in fire as rage swelled to his head from the depth of his heart. He said in an almost grunting voice, in my entire life, no one has ever disrespected me. Since you dared to disgrace me, then don't blame me for teaching you some manners in place of your parents. As he was saying those words, Vath was busy lazily cleaning his exposed ear with his pinky, his eyes looking everywhere else, but not at Felix. By the time he finished saying those words, Vath looked up at him and a teasing glint could be seen reflecting in his red eye. Nowadays, even dogs bark less than you. Let me ask, are you done barking? If so, take this up your ass. Also, Vath said as he pointed the middle finger of his right hand at Felix. I'm gonna kill you. Felix Walken roared angrily as he channeled magic power in his fire cells. Whoosh! He was propelled forward with an incredible speed as flames burst beneath his feet. His right hand instantly balled into a fist around which fiery hot currents swirled around. The blazing fist was aimed directly at him. Vath Hollow stood still, seemingly having no intentions of fighting back or evading his attacks. He internally thought that it is almost time for the examiner to interfere with the situation while looking at his third watch as Felix homed onto him like a homing bomb. How dare you act wantonly in the testing center? Alex Hollow shouted with a belly full of anger. Before Felix could even reach near him, a horrific burst of pressure made out of mana erupted out from Alex and crashed on top of him. He was immediately suppressed, flames vanishing from his hands as he crashed on the ground. He resisted the pressure to stand up but felt like there was a mountain on top of him, one he could never hope to uplift. Using energy to pressure others like the most basic and offensive form of utilizing only energy like mana. It can only be used by combatants that have awakened to possess ability and energy channels. Then, opened all energy channels to create an energy circuit. To be able to use such an attack means that Alex has an energy circuit. What the hell? Felix's handsome face grimaced as he looked at the person who suppressed him. He had been treated with respect from everyone around him because he was the youngest prince of the great royal Walken family, and it was shocking, to say the least, to be treated with disrespect and indifference. Why are you looking at me like that? Do you have a problem with my attitude? Let me tell you this isn't your home where you can be disrespectful to others. This is the testing center of the Earth Federation Military Academy. You better follow the rules, or else he broken bar. Alex looked down at him as he said those words, seemingly having no intentions of retrieving his attack of intangible form. Felix was angered. A bitter taste filled his mouth, but he couldn't do anything. Isn't it all because you're also a Hollow? That's why you are siding with that little bastard. It's clearing him who instigated all of this, he said, while raising his head with all his willpower and strength to look at Alex. Alex rolled his eyes, wondering why there are so many stupid peoples in the world who keeps on making assumptions without any sorts of proofs. It seems like the only reason for their existence is to be a disturbance and a pain in the ass for others. He wasn't a member of the Hollow Great family, yet everyone seems to take him as one as soon as they hear his full name. So stupid. As soon as Felix said those words, Vath hunched low and raised both of his hands at the same time. stretching open the middle finger of each hand and pointing them directly at the raging face of Felix. "Take both of them up your ass," Voth said with a smug expression on his face. He simply was put of control and an expert at slapping others on the face. First off, he knew that the examiners will interfere as soon as things get physical. He wanted to simply teach a hard lesson to Felix as he found him too arrogant. Naturally, the examiners knew about this and they didn't like the fact that they were used as tools by a young boy. "You two, stop trying to aggravate him," Kale Walken said as her stern gaze landed on Voth. Boom! The ground beneath Voth's feet cracked as mana pressure swept in the surrounding. The people stepped back from the center of the court unintentionally as fear overwhelmed them. Their face went pale with fright as sweat dripped from their head onto the ground. "But I don't want to hear a single word from you," Alex said. A wave of pressure made out of mana released from his body and landed on Voth, causing his knees to bend. Now, don't be so harsh. Stop pressurizing them. They are just kids." "Yes, Senior." The examiners pulled back their mana pressures only after Theodore interfered. "I apologize, sir." Felix apologized as he thought that it's never too late for a gentleman to take his revenge. "I apologize." Voth apologized as he believed that it'll be bad for his future if he get on their bad sides. Both of them walked away from each other, Felix treating others with a cold shoulder while Voth walking leisurely towards the boisterous crowd. "The instructor's a scary one." "Angry," Peter said as he gulped. Not just Peter, but even most of the students were terrified by the energy wave attacks executed by the instructors. It was terrifying to consider that the difference in their strength was so great that the instructors could decide their life and death in a single second. "Try your best to not attract their ire." "It won't do us any good if we get on their bad side," Layla said as she looked at Peter. While she and Peter continued to talk with one another, Vincent silently observed the students in order to complete his mission. I-1 mission activated, the most talented. I-1 task, scout and evaluate the students with the highest potential. 03A superscript-O. I-1 completion reward, plus 60 experience points. A superscript-O. He had received this mission right when the first one to take this test walked to the front of the crowd. Since then, he had been standing away from the boisterous crowd, leisurely leaning against the wall while gazing at each person that took the test of Titan's strength with scrutiny. Voth has a mysterious feel about him, but I discern that he is talented, shrewd, playful, and especially vengeful. He is the type of person I don't want to make an enemy out of. On the other hand, Felix comes off as an idiot that is easy to aggravate. However, he is powerful. In a battle of strength, I might lose against him, but in a battle of wits, I can mop the floor with him, Vincent internally thought. All of a sudden, a notification popped up in front of him. He glanced at it. I-1 task progression. 2/3 A superscript-O. I just need to evaluate one more talented student amongst the remaining ones. Vincent waited in silence as he had been since the start of this test. Nevis stood up from his cross-legged seated position, swept back the length of his silver hair with his finger while walking to the front of the crowd, planning to take the test. As he was walking towards the iron wall, a metallic cube with a blue lens in the middle floated out of his pocket, hovering behind him. I-1 virtual reality connecting terminal has been activated. According to the settings set by the user, the terminal will now live stream, record, upload, and share videos on your channel. Rosenfeld A superscript-O. The metallic cube hovering around him and recording his actions announced as he whisked his way near the iron wall. It was a device specially created to link to the virtual reality created and ruled by the third great royal family. A person gains access to all public services provided on the virtual reality and platforms established on the virtual reality once his device links to the virtual network. Nevis was a newbie live streamer on the platform called SX. The reason as to why he wanted to become a streamer was pretty simple. It was his dream to become popular and gain fame and attention. He wanted to show his family that he can be loved as much as anyone else. That's why his channel name was Rosenfeld, meaning Field of Roses. signifying the fact that one day he will receive so many fan letters and gifts that it will be enough to create a field out of them. Welcome to my live stream. Today marks the beginning of my new life. I'm about to take the test of Titan's strength through a part of the Military Academy entrance examination. The rules are simple. I just need to prove my strength by punching this iron wall. The better I perform, the more contribution points I will earn. They can be used to purchase a lot of things. So wish me well, Nevis said as he winked at his live stream's viewers. This guy is so pretty, almost like a pop model. Damn right. He's totally my type. Little handsome, Ganuna big sister, wishes you the best. Kia, hey boy, show them what you got. Beat the shit out of that smug-looking iron wall for my sake. He only had 1,000 subscribers. Out of them, only 4 were watching his live stream. However, he still put on a smile and prepared himself to perform the best for them. Everything starts from baby steps. He believed that one day he will 1,000 times more subscribers. To attain that goal, he just needed to do his best every day. Let's fucking do this, Nevis exclaimed, bubbling up in excitement. He took a battle stance in front of the iron wall. He was standing extremely close to it, so close that his curled index finger almost touched the wall. He took a deep breath and started to gather up 30 units of the battle energy contained inside of his body into one place. He could only gather 30 units of battle energy in a single point for now. He had more than 80 units of battle energy that could be utilized to increase the strength of the body by 8 times that of an average human. However, that is only the case when battle energy is evenly distributed throughout the body. Rather than evenly distributing battle energy throughout his body, he is focusing a lot of it into his index finger. The strength of this attack will improve significantly, Alex said as he excitedly looked at Nevis. At first, his eyebrows twitched in annoyance when he saw that Nevis is an annoying live streamer, but then he felt impressed with him. His control over battle energy is amazing, Kale praised as she looked at Nevis. It wasn't a simple task to focus battle energy into a single point. To explain battle energy in simpler words, it exists as the 5th limb of a human being. It is automatically evenly distributed throughout the body and utilized to enhance a person's body, allowing them to possess incredible strength, defense, and agility for a short amount of time with a single thought. However, this was most simplest way to use battle energy. The combatants use battle energy to execute transcendental grade combat techniques, and these techniques can only be utilized by people who have great control over battle energy. For example, Vincent had gathered battle energy in his legs to drastically improve his speed in the past, and the first examinee gathered battle energy in his steel fist to increase his damage output. Well, nothing less expected from the 7th son of the Truemite family. As soon as Theodore said those words, Alex and Kale nodded, agreeing with what he said, as they knew that the members of the Truemite family were born with an innate trait called energy control. They were born with better control over energy as compared to an average human. I am reaching my limits. I need to find release, Nevis said as sweat trickled down his forehead. When approximately 80 units of battle energy gathered in his curled index finger, Nevis felt thankful to his cousin, the only person that treated him with kindness and gave him a transcendental grade combat technique before he left for Earth. The battle energy that used to be automatically spread evenly throughout his body each time he utilized it through willpower and thoughts has now gathered into a single point because of learning the technique his cousin gave him. He felt the battle energy converting into bodily strength. His index finger bone strength increased. His finger muscle density increased. The agility of his index finger increased. The amount of strength of his finger as a whole increased by a few tons. Sky-piercing finger, he exclaimed as his curled index finger stretched out with incredible speed. His index finger carried such immense strength that a resounding reverberation spread out along with shock waves. Nevis Truemite, strength grade 72. Soon, the dull mechanical voice of the system echoed to announce his result. The eyes of the students, medic, live stream viewers, and instructors opened wide in shock, and their mouths gape as they looked at Nevis with an expression of disbelief and bewilderment. The students were having a hard time believing that his finger contained such extreme powers. The medic and instructors were awestruck as his finger has exploded. They believed that the shockwave must have shattered the bones of his arm also. The viewers were split between deciding whether this person is an idiot that doesn't fear or an outright crazy person. "Well, I did my best." "Don't forget to like and subscribe," Nevis said as he flashed his white pearly teeth to the live stream. He also gave them a thumbs up before he fell down to the ground, seemingly losing consciousness as blood dripped out from his half-blown index finger. The healers immediately went down the raised platforms and performed first-aid treatment on him. Then they placed him on a stretcher before taking him away. Vincent believed that the healer will be able to heal his finger and cracked bones entirely. "His control over battle energy is better than mine. From what I discerned, he was able to gather 30 units of battle energy in his index finger. On the other hand, I can't even gather more than 20 units of battle energy in my legs. But I think he is stupid, to fortify a single point with battle energy and leaving the rest of his arm far weak against the strength outputted from his finger. He must have suffered. Maybe he didn't know." I superscript 1 task progression. 3/3 A superscript O. I superscript 1 mission has been completed. A superscript O. I superscript 1 you've been rewarded with plus 60 experience points. A superscript O. I superscript 1 LV3, 240-300 XP. A superscript O. Vincent smiled as he was now only 60 experience points away from leveling up and receiving free attributes points that can be used to increase his strength. The testing continued after Nevis Druemite was taken away from the testing room on a stretcher. Grade 3, pass. Grade 7, pass. Grade 2, fail. Grade 1, fail. Grade 9, pass. Some of the temporary students barely managed to pass the test of Titan's strength as they didn't have any supernatural ability. Moreover, they lacked magic technique and transcendental grade combat technique. Among these students, most of them had a very low control over battle energy and they weren't able to utilize a single transcendental grade combat technique. What really caused Alex's eyebrows to raise was the fact that these brats haven't even learned a good offensive magic technique. "It isn't hard to learn a magic technique. You just need to memorize some hand signs," Alex said, while feeling disappointed. "Why are the examinees this year so bad? Only the first few were interesting to see. Should we disqualify the rest?" Kale rolled her eyes at Alex as she thought that maybe he doesn't know the basics of how a magic technique works. He probably also doesn't know that most of the commoners can never afford one as an actually powerful magic technique costs a fortune. A person can cast a magic technique once magic power circulates from the heart into certain veins. Most people use hand signs to circulate magic power. It's scientifically proven that certain hand signs cause magic power to flow out of the heart and travel into the veins. For example, Old Miller created a magic technique called Mana Bullet. By performing the required set of hand signs, magic power had flowed out of Vincent's hand and condensed into a magic bullet that was used to kill the red tusk elephant. However, humans have countless veins, and it's hard to come up with an offensive magic technique by oneself. Nevertheless, some books called magic books explains in detail the postures of each hand sign and the order they are to be performed in to cast a certain magic technique. However, magic books are costly. It's because magic book contains information about magic techniques that was created by a person who sells magic books for a living. That person earns 50% of the total revenue. The remaining is split between tax authorities and the trading platform. It's easy for you because you find it easy to memorize hand signs. But it's hard for others, as they can't easily memorize hand signs and the order they are needed to be performed to cast a magic technique. Besides, this year the minimum acceptance rate in every testing center is 50 students. Any less than that, and they will cut our salaries, Theodore said as he looked at Alex. They needed to at least bring back 50 new students to their base, or else, they will be punished and their salaries deducted. "Well, I guess beggars can't be choosers," Alex mumbled after a while, watching one unassuming student after another pass the test with an average grade. However, Many of the temporary students had passed the test with flying marks, though they also were considered as average in Alex's eyes. Some of them possessed abilities extremely useful for combat, while the others had great control over their battle energy and were able to execute a transcendent grade combat technique with some difficulties. So far, most of the students that had taken this test have passed. Only a few have failed. Let's decide who go first and last with a single round of rock paper and scissors, Peter said once. Only a few students that didn't take the test remained. Okay, let's start at the count of 3, Vincent said as they started counting the numbers in unison. A few seconds later, Vincent and Peter claimed victory over Layla in the first throw. They both used rocks while she threw scissors, and that lost her the game. I guess I will be the first to take the test among us, Layla said before she excused herself and started to step towards the iron wall. As she was stepping in front of the crowd to take the test, the boys played another round of rock paper and scissors. I won, Peter exclaimed. As luck would have it, Vincent lost to Peter in the third game. The first two were a draw as they picked the same hand. At the very moment he lost against him, a notification popped up in front of his face. I superscript 1 new mission activated. I superscript O. I superscript 1 task. Pass the test of Titan's strength. A superscript O. I superscript 1 completion reward. 3 experience points. A superscript O. I superscript 1 The better your grade, the higher your reward. A superscript O. I will earn 3 experience points if I pass the test with grade 3, right? Vincent internally said. I superscript 1 yes. A superscript O. Doesn't that mean that I will gain 1 extra experience points for each grade? Vincent asked as he wanted to confirm his suspicions. I superscript 1 The owner is absolutely correct. A superscript O. Vincent smiled as he thought that he needed to score grade 60 to earn enough experience points to level up. That will be pretty hard, but I might just be able to do it, he thought before his gaze focused on Layla's figure. She was clad in a beautiful white dress and wearing knee-high socks. Her baby face, small nose, and rosy lips made her look exceptionally cute. Her short and slender figure only worked to enhance her cuteness. Because of her white hair and mesmerizing big eyes, she seemed like a cute snow rabbit. She was eye candy for everyone, both males and females. The best thing the people in the surrounding felt about her was that she was equally talented. She scored 340 points, gaining the third highest result. She created a 1-meter-long pole by using her ice ability and hurled it at the iron wall with incredible speed by using telekinesis. Her points summed up to strength grade 34. The strength of an average human was 10 points or 100 kilograms. In simpler words, Layla's attack carried 3.4 tons of force. This surprised her a lot as she was now 10 times stronger compared to her previous self. Her eyes filled with gratitude landed on Vincent. It's all because of him that she managed to self-awaken and become powerful. She started to walk towards him. Give it yours all in this test. Use all your strength even if it means breaking your bones. I have a feeling that the contribution points will determine much of our future. Trust me on this one, Vincent said as he looked at Peter. I will try my best to do as you say, but it's hard to guarantee that I'll be able to uphold my words, Peter replied. He feared pain like any other sane person. That's why he wasn't sure whether he will be able to pull off a stunt like Nevis or not. Well, it's your life, Vincent said as he started to walk towards the front of the crowd. Layla came up to him as he walking towards the iron wall. I did good, right? She said. Vincent knew that she was expecting to be praised. Yes, you did well, Vincent said as he gently caressed her head. Layla blushed so hard that her face turned red like a ripe tomato. Big brother, I wish you all the best, Layla said. Hearing her words of encouragement, Vincent walked towards the iron wall while thinking that he will do better than Layla. Big brother's eyes were so sharp and his touch was so warm. Now my heart is racing so fast, Layla internally exclaimed like a fangirl as she buried her face in her hands. I have a few questions to ask, Vincent said once he stood a few meters away from the iron wall. Alex looked at him and said, shoot. Say, if there's a chance of my heart rupturing, bones of my entire hand shattering, and blood vessels exploding, Will I make it out alive? Can the healers heal such injuries? How long will it take to heal such injuries? Vincent asked while rubbing the back of his head as he looked at the examiners. The instructors looked at him as if he was crazy. What kind of questions were these? Are you planning to commit suicide? Yes, but it will take a few minutes, Theodore replied. We will bring you back to life, even if you are halfway through the river Styx. Though why do you ask? He inquired with a look of interest. Well, you will find out soon enough, Vincent replied mysteriously as he took her off his shirt. Oh my God, he's so hot. This is free eye candy. I wish he is still single. I will get his number as soon as he finishes this test. He is so muscular. He must have trained a lot. Vincent's muscular body and pale skin with no acne attracted the attention of a lot of girls. All of them, including Gail, stared at his handsome face, seemingly having no intention of looking away. Vincent's eyebrows slightly twitched due to their compliments. Anyway, he had taken off his shirt as he believed that otherwise it will be torn apart. After hunching low and slamming his fist on his left chest, Vincent took a deep breath and his eyes turned scarlet. At the same time, his blood flow increased by a few times, enhancing his strength, speed, stamina, and natural recovery rate. Blood gear, Crimson Ruler. His looks changed as one could see thick veins pulsating all over his body, making him look ferocious like a devil. I superscript 130 units of Sang blood has been consumed to manipulate your blood flow. A superscripto. I superscript 1 your strength has temporarily increased to 79 points. A superscripto. I superscript 1 your stamina has temporarily increased to 72 points. A superscripto. I superscript 1 your agility has temporarily increased to 75 points. A superscripto. The Sang heart was connected to his blood vessels. A day before the examination, he had mixed the blood contained in the Sang heart with his own blood. After that, he found out that he could control and manipulate his blood as he wished. By accelerating my blood flow, I almost doubled my strength. However, this ability is a little bit too straining. I need to end this fast, Vincent thought as his right hand balled into a fist. Whoosh! He concentrated 10 units of battle energy into his legs, dashing towards the iron wall with an incredible speed, and at the same time, he activated the Transcendental Grade Combat Technique, Charged Strike, and amplified the power of his fist by focusing 20 units of battle energy into it. The 20 units of battle energy increased the power of his fist by a few tons. His base strength had reached 790 kilograms the moment he activated his blood gear. Both combined up to around 5 tons. The speed behind his attack also increased the strength of his attack by a few times. A person's speed also increases his attack. It's just like throwing a tiny rock from a very high place. It will become a very dangerous weapon comparable to a bullet as it descends. Boom! The sound of his bones cracking and the surface of the iron wall shattering echoed at the same time after his fist connected with the iron wall, and he immediately gritted his teeth, forcefully stopping himself from squealing like a little girl. 777 points. Grade 77.7. Pass, the system announced as he dropped to his knees. The pain of bones stabbing into flesh was proving to be too much to bear, and Vincent couldn't help but release a few painful whispers every now and then. The announcement of his result caused many eyes to open wide in surprise as if they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Vincent, on the other hand, decreased the flow of his blood as blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. I superscript 1 blood gear. Crimson Ruler has been deactivated. A superscripto. I superscript 1 your strength as a whole has decreased to the base level. A superscripto. Vincent's long black eyelashes fluttered and his scarlet eyes squinted as he grimaced. Piercing and searing pain filling every fiber of his being. The piercing pain that he was feeling was caused by the bones in his right hand that had shattered as he used a force greater than what he could handle, while the searing pain was caused by increasing the flow of blood. Most of his vessels were strained because he increased his blood flow beyond the limit of what he could handle. In simpler words, he was feeling a lot of pain as his bones has shattered and his blood vessels were damaged. Yet, He didn't use the blood contained in his heart to heal his injuries. It's not because that it'll become troublesome if he heals all his injuries by himself in front of the eyes of an entire crowd, but because of entirely different reasons. First off, his lust for blood amplifies to an uncontrolled amount when the blood contained in his vampire's heart is below 20 units. Secondly, he needed it. The upcoming test might be harder than this one. There was no guarantee that he will be able to obtain a high score without using his racial ability to manipulate blood. Lastly, he believed that he will recover from all his injuries under the hands of the healers. Just as he was about to lose consciousness, a few notifications popped up in front of him. I superscript 1 mission completed. A superscripto. I superscript 1 You've completed the task with an excellent result. A superscripto. I superscript 1 The owner will gain additional rewards for completing the task perfectly. You've been rewarded with 77 experience points. A superscripto. I superscript 1 LV3. 317 300 XP. A superscripto. I superscript 1 You've leveled up. A superscripto. I superscript 1 LV4. 17700 XP. A superscripto. I superscript 1 You've gained 5 attribute points. Attribute points can be disturbed in your stats to increase your strength. A superscripto. I superscript 1 You have reached the required level to unlock the next spell matrix. A superscripto. I superscript 1 Spell matrix. Energy sense has been unlocked. A superscripto. Although his vision had turned blurry, he somehow managed to make out some of the context written on the semi-transparent screen. A smile blossomed on his face as he felt happy that he has passed the test of Titan's strength with the highest grade till now and also leveled up. He blacked out with a smile on his face. The last thing he saw before fainting was Layla, a healer, and few faculty members running towards him. The one with the highest grade turned out to be a demi-human. That's pretty disgusting, Alex said with a dissatisfied face. He inferred that Vincent had used a racial trait rather than a special ability as he was just an earthling. In this day and age, it was pretty normal for demi-humans to be present among humans. It could be said that interracial marriages were the norm now, as according to the charts, more than half the population of humans had a demi-human spouse and vice versa. It could be said that there are just as many demi-humans as humans. Not just that, a lot of examinees and military personnel are also demi-humans. It was pretty rare to see someone discriminating against someone else just because of his race. However, due to some severe reasons and personal preferences, Alex didn't like demi-humans. In fact, his dislike was on the same level as hatred. He had even supported racial terrorist groups like Sun Suhan in the past. Hearing his words, Kale frowned and turned to look at him with an expression of dissatisfaction. She took his words personally as she was friends with a lot of demi-humans and demi-humans were also a part of her walk-in family. How could she allow someone to blatantly disrespect demi-humans in her presence? It wasn't in her nature to do nothing about racism. Be careful of what you say, or else he broken bark, Gale said as she turned to look at him with a stern glare. Or else what? Huh? Alex said that as he crossed his legs and stared right into her eyes, acting confident and calm. Seeing that he showed no remorse at all, the corner of Gale's eyes twitched. Next time I won't show any mercy. I will pull out your tongue and flay it on fire, Kale threatened ferociously like a mighty tigress. However, in Alex's eyes, she appeared to look like a cute little kitten trying to scratch his heart with her fluffy roars. So scary. But what's a healer like you going to do about it? You can only be milked and taken advantage of by others, Alex said as he leaned towards the woman in her mid-20s and sniffed her sweet scent, exposing a teasing smile much to her dislike as he thought, one day I will make you mine. You bastard. Gale raised her hands to slap him but was stopped by Theodore. Both of you, cut it off, or else I am gonna issue penalty. Yes, senior. As soon as he said those words, the two adults acting like child stopped bickering. What's your thoughts about him? Theodore asked. I don't mean to praise him, but he reminds me of the old foxes, the ones acting behind the scenes, Kale said. Oh, so you mean someone like the director of strategy? Yes, kinda like an immature version of the director. And why do you say so? He has been acting calm and collected ever since he entered the room. At first, I thought that he is the silent type of guy who doesn't have much interest in knowing others. Now that I know him better than before, I believe he was coming up with a plan to get a high score. Well, what's your thoughts on this matter? Theodore asked as he looked at Alex. According to my evaluation, he is expressing traits of a psychopath. Neva's true Emite actions were pretty comical, as everyone knows that he isn't treated well by his family. There's a high chance of him being uneducated. However, someone like Vincent must know that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Yet, he still went on and punched the wall as hard as he can, even breaking his bones purposely to get a better result. From how I see it, he will do anything to fulfill his purpose. It's being like him that treats everyone as a pawn and won't mind sacrificing someone to achieve a better result, Alex said. You both aren't wrong, but not entirely correct either. He is a calculating daredevil that knows bounds and limits. Do you believe that he would have done the same without any guarantee of recovering from severe injuries like the shattering of bones in a few minutes? Theodore's cheeks stretched back to expose a smile. We need people like him in our ranks to face internal and external evil that is threatening to end our races. The Academy is a place of nurturing young blood that will become the elites of society. I hope to see no prejudice against him or other demi-humans in the Academy grounds, and I believe you already know what's going to happen once you ignore my words, he added with a calm smile appearing harmless. Yes, Senior. I will never discriminate against demi-humans on the Academy grounds. You can count on me, Alex said while gulping in terror. The consequences of angering him were something he didn't want to face again. Last time, he was hurled to planet Cold for 3 months. It's a planet where winter lasts forever, with no sun in sight, and worse above all that were creatures made out of ice that don't die no matter how many times they are blown apart. That's good, Theodore replied as he turned to look at the volleyball-like court. Peter stretched his body, preparing himself physically for the test. Big Brother must have said that because of a reason. Ever since I met him, he has hardly been wrong, and I think that the contribution points we will earn after passing the entrance examination and becoming permanent students might really decide our future. I guess there's no way out of it. It all depends on me. It's not like I have a choice here. For a better future, I must give it my all. Anyway, momentary hellish pain sounds better than a shitty future. Peter made up his mind, planning to utilize as much battle energy he can control and gather into a single place to power up the strength of his fist. After he walked up to the iron wall, he concentrated 7 units of his battle energy into his right fist, making it incredibly powerful, at the cost of leaving the rest of the body completely defenseless. Bam! I superscript 1 you passed. Strength grade 21A superscript O. In the end, he managed to score higher than most of the temporary students, claiming the 13th spot. Though some of the bones of his right hand shattered. In the end, he was also taken to the infirmary. After sitting there and evaluating the performance of the temporary students, Theodore and his juniors came across a lot of talented youngsters belonging to families of different status that managed to score better than Peter. Congratulations on passing the second assessment. You've all been rewarded with contribution points equal to your result in this test. You won't be able to use them for now, but they will become usable after you become permanent students, Theodore said once all the students were done with the test of Titan strength. As it is only a few hours away from midnight, the third and the fourth assessment will be held tomorrow. In the meantime, you can do anything you like. Rest if you want to, or take a look around the majestical tower. It's all up to you. When the instructor of combat made his announcement, a lot of the examinees exhaled a sigh of relief, some sitting down on the ground with legs crossed, some leaning against the walls with eyes closed, some standing straight seemingly having no intention of resting as they find it beneath them to rest on the ground like the commoners. I got 10 contribution points, but it's grayed out, a student said as his gaze curiously scrutinized the card held in his hands. It's like the instructor said, we won't be able to use them until we become permanent students. Yeah, you are right. It's the same for us. We have the points but we can't use them. It kinda sucks. The students talked with each other, as the instructors finished the 5th cup of coffee and placed the cup on the wooden table. "Hey, instructor, can I get a room with a bed? I couldn't sleep a wink last night." A student with a bald head spoke in a rough manner that sounded unpleasant to the ears. His name was Giom 13th, or just Giom. One could see an exhausted expression on his face as his legs were sprawled on the floor and his body supported by his arms. Honestly, it wasn't just him that wanted to lie down on a bed and sleep. A lot of the students that have never once sat down on the ground in their entire life also wanted to get a room for themselves. But they didn't have an ounce of authority in this place, and purchasing a room without the help of an authoritative figure impossible in the Cloud Tower. Kale stood up and walked to the front of the raised platform. "A suite has been assigned to every one of you. The droids holds the master cards. Get in line with the others or wait in your place to get the master card. Tomorrow, it will be the last day of the examination. You will all be called to gather here early in the morning. So, go and rest early." Kale stepped back once she made her announcement, and Instructor Theodore stepped forward. "I advise you to not stay up late. Make sure to be in your best state, as your mental and physical health concerns both your placement in the next assessment and allocation of resources provided by the Academy to the examinees according to their grades." Theodore gave hints about the upcoming test to the temporary students with a smile. After he said those words, the instructors took the back door to teleport to their respective floors. "One thing is for sure, our mental strength will determine our grade in the next test. I'm looking forward to it," Vartholo thought with squinted eyes, as he stepped forward to get in line. The students stepped out of the room after a while, one by one, by taking the rather large corridor. One could see that a card with cloudy patterns was held in their hands. Once they were in their respective room, they found out that a single room was shared between two examinees. Well, whatever. "Hey, I don't know who you are and I don't wanna know. If you want there to be peace, then just don't disturb me. I only wanna sleep peacefully right now," Giom said to his roommate as he then laid down on the small, soft bed placed on the left side of the room and quickly entered the world of dreams. He was tired and needed to sleep urgently to recuperate his energy and spirit. The students that shattered their bones were taken to the infirmary. It was located just around the right corner of the examination room. The students were examined by June Parker, the student of Instructor Kale. "You are fine. However, try not to repeat such stunts in the future. Healing has a certain limit and a day might come when it becomes ineffective on your body. You can delay the inevitable by following what I say," June Park said to Nevis Truemite. "I will do as you say." "Thanks for everything that you have done for me," Nevis replied as he looked at June with eyes expressing gratitude. This was one of those times that warms his heart, as well as makes him believe in humanity and love all over again. After all, there weren't a lot of people that showered him with kindness, but there were a lot of people that showed the cruelty of the world and the monstrous side of humanity called hatred and jealousy. "No problem. I was just doing my duty," June replied. "The next assessment will be held early in the morning. Until then, you can rest here." "Thanks once again," Nevis said. "Call me if you need anything," June said as he headed for the terrace. Once he was there, he lit up a cigar, inhaling the smoke with an expression of intoxication and coolly puffing rings of clouds. A while later, Nevis looked around the room he was in while streaming the aftermath of the test to his viewers, and he saw two others in the room. Except for him, Vincent and Peter were also in the room, laying on the bed, sleeping soundly. Suddenly, the sound of the door of the infirmary opening could be heard in the room. Nevis curiously looked over. As soon as the door opened wide for a person to pass through, Nevis saw Layla entering the room. A few trays filled to the brim with various delicacies were floating behind her and one was held in her hand. A single tray was filled with enough food to feed 5 people. After she had placed all the food onto the table, she sat down on a chair spotted near Vincent's bed. "Big brother and little brother haven't eaten anything for a while. They will feel hungry once they wake up." Thankfully, I came prepared and brought some of their favorite dishes with me. There's more than enough for the three of us, Layla thought as her gentle gaze landed upon Vincent and Peter. They were both unconscious as a result of their own suicidal and masochistic actions. She placed her smooth and petite hands on Vincent's forehead. I hope you will wake up soon or else the food will get cold, Layla said as she rubbed his forehead. Although he was fast asleep, an expression of comfort could be seen taking over Vincent's face. On the other hand, Nevis stared at Layla intensely. One look at her pretty face and slender figure caused the eyes of Nevis to turn into saucers. How could such a cute girl that looks like a cute little bunny exist? Why is she being so good to another man? So pretty, beautiful sister. Are you also an examinee? Nevis asked as he looked at her. He already knew that she was an examinee. He was just trying to strike a conversation with her. Yes, Layla replied coldly without even glancing once in his direction, signifying that she has no interest in talking with a stranger. Nevis took her casual attitude at face value. He felt sad as the beauty have completely ignored him. His sadness was short-lived as hunger took over. Attracted by the smell of the food that lingered in the surroundings, he looked at the food as his belly growled with hunger. Beautiful sister, can I have one? He said while pointing at one of the trays placed on the table. Okay. Layla passed a tray with the least amount of delicacies to him. If you want more than just tell the droids or the faculty members. Thanks, but I don't think I will need any more than this. Nevis nodded and he then proceeded to fill his stomach with delicious food. Oh my god. This is what real food feels like. My tongue tingles as the delicious aroma of the dishes bursts in my mouth. It's so delicious. Ah, I am no longer in that hellhole. There are no servants to bully me. Here I will no longer see the eyes of my father that had always looked at me with disappointment. I have escaped the torture of my crazy step-siblings that would beat me, lock me up in a dark basement, and starve me for days. These are the beginning of my wonderful days, Nevis thought in pleasure as he stuffed his mouth with meat and salty side dishes. The mouthful of saucy meat and fried potatoes went down his throat with a single gulp. Then, he once again stuffed his face with another mouthful of food. All of this, he streamed it to his live stream's viewers. Most of the viewers only had the following thoughts in their minds. Damn, he is a mukbang beast. Who is that pretty lady? Hey, man, stop eating and ask for her number. Unable to hear their replies, Nevis continued to eat like a hungry beast, filling the emptiness in his tummy. A while later, the eyes of Peter squeezed. Sis, what are you doing here? What about the tests? Are the examiners holding one right now? Did we miss one? Exclamation mark. Peter asked once he woke up. SHH. Big brother is still sleeping. After she said those words, Layla slowly explained what happened after Peter lost his consciousness. Nevis already knew about all that as June have explained it to him. I understand. So the next assessments will be held tomorrow. That's great, Peter said as he exhaled a breath of relief, releasing tension that had bubbled up inside his body. I can smell food. Is that for us? It's for you. After all, I knew you will be feeling famished once you wake up. You are the best sister in the world. Peter exposed a wide smile as he spoke before picking up a tray that had dishes that he liked the most. After a while of massaging his head like a faithful wife, Layla felt physically tired and mentally exhausted, and drowsiness could be seen slowly taking roots in her pretty eyes. Waking up from his sleep feeling dazed, tired, and confused, a familiar scent of sweet flower assaulted his senses. He was very familiar with this scent. Ever since he became a demi-human, a certain someone scent started to attract him. It was a young woman, a very pretty one. Big brother, you are finally awake, Layla exclaimed cheerfully. Vincent turned to look at the source of the sweet voice tainted with hints of worries, only to see Layla's pair of large, gleaming eyes looking at him, and the two looked into each other's eyes seemingly having no intentions to look away. Vincent could see that her eyes were filled with worry while Layla saw his scarlet eyes brimming with unexplainable desires. Do you know how worried I was? Layla broke the silence as she spoke in. Sorry for worrying you, Vincent said as he patted her soft fur-like white hair. As you can see, I'm all right. Yes, I am relieved, Layla said. At the very moment, the doors to the balcony slid open and June entered the room once again. Oh, You guys are finally awake. How are you feeling? He asked as he looked at Vincent and Peter. As a mouthful of food was in his mouth, Peter gave him a thumbs up, signifying that he was feeling perfectly fine. I'm feeling all right, just a little tired, Vincent replied. Well, that's because you overworked your blood vessel. As Layla moved the chair to the corner of the bed, June stepped up to Vincent. After June checked his pulse and his temperature, he said, your conditions are currently stable, but it'll worsen if you strain your blood vessel once again. It will better if you do not use your innate traits for around 4 days. I understand, Vincent nodded. Great. I will be stepping out for a while. Once you are done eating, you geese may return to your respective rooms, June said before he left the room in a hurry, making his way to meet Senior Theodore. Big brother, let's eat. Layla placed a tray on her lap while facing Vincent. Blood soup, blood sausages, blood pancake. The food in this tray is just to my taste. Vincent licked his lips as he stared at the delicacies that stirred his hunger and desires. After only taking a few bites, Vincent stopped and looked at Layla. You have been looking after me all this time, but you forgot to take care of yourself. I believe you haven't eaten anything till now. Sit here, eat with me, Vincent said, sitting cross-legged on the bed to make a spot for Layla. His words of care touched her heart, causing her cheeks to blush. The beautiful maiden shook her head, indicating that she didn't want to work together with him. You eat first. I will eat later, she said to clear any misunderstanding that her actions might have caused. I insist, Vincent said as one of his hands reached out to grasp her wrist lightly, slowly guiding her to sit with him. I will do as you say, Layla said as she sat down near him. Open your mouth, don't be shy. Vincent positioned a spoonful of corn soup in front of her mouth. Layla reflexively opened her mouth, taking the soup into her mouth and down her throat, as she savored the flavor with closed eyes, a ruddy face, and a heart beating erratically. Why is he being like this? I am not a kid who needs to be fed. What's strange is that I am feeling happy and excited about it, Layla internally exclaimed as she continued to be handled by Vincent. After a few moments, specks of violet glistened in her black eyes as she remembered something. Instantly, her mood soured. Why do I feel like you are angry? Vincent asked. HMPH. Why did you take off your shirt and show off your body to the other girls? She asked with a puffed face while looking at him with an ice-cold glare. Vincent clearly noticed that she was jealous. In the eyes of Vincent, she looked like a little hamster. Looking at her innocent face, Vincent felt that she looks really cute when she is jealous. Is that it? I was afraid that my shirt will tear, as you know that it's made out of normal fabric. There was no other reason. As soon as he said those words, Layla's mood brightened. He put his hands on Layla's face. Feeling the warmth of his hand, her eyes widened and she looked at him as her face became suffused with redness. Vincent thought that those eyes were bewitching and that it is too easy to please her as he looked at her reddening face. Looking at the two lovebirds acting as if there is no tomorrow, Nevis almost choked. First off, he felt that it's kinda unfair that she is showing so many expressions to him, while he only got a cold reply. Secondly, he felt awestruck by her face blushed red. To say the least, she could even more beautiful than before, so beautiful and cute that Nevis felt that he could keep on looking at her for 7 days straight and still not feel tired. Hey, where are you going? Wash my hands, Layla replied with a mesmerizing smile. I will be back soon. Ah, okay. Thus, Layla rushed to the bathroom with a ruddy face and a fervent heart. Nevis, on the other hand, licked his fingers and lips, as he finished devouring food meant for 5 peoples. Hey guys, I heard that my control over battle energy is the best amongst the examinee. Though I scored second, it seems like there's an examinee who is better than me. I wonder who it is, he said to his viewers. He is in the same room as you, Peter said. It's you? Nevis asked with a shocked expression as he looked at Peter. Peter shook his head, indicating that he is not the one. He is the top-ranked examinee, Peter said as he pointed at Vincent. Eh? You're the one who scored the most in the test of Titan's strength? Nevis blurted out without thinking. Yeah, Vincent replied casually. Wow, it must feel great to be the best amongst all the examinees of this city, right? He asked. Not really, Vincent replied. Hey, Is that girl your love interest? Nevis really wanted to know whether there is going on between them or not. If not, he will try to win her heart. If so, he didn't know what he will do. Nope, he said while looking at him. Then, I believe you won't mind if I chase after her, right? She is super cute and kind and almost looks like a fairy. Also knows how to look after someone else. She is the perfect wife material. Guys, I have found the love of my life, Nevis said to his live stream's viewers. Immediately after, a lot of messages popped up on the semi-transparent screen floating in front of him. Just as he was about to read the comments, Vincent's calm voice sounded in his ears. Forget about her, he said. Buddy, didn't you just say that she isn't your girlfriend? Why are you still there? I changed my mind. Keep your hands and eyes off her, otherwise be prepared to face deadly consequences, he said as his inky, black eyes glittered sharply. Vincent planned to take it slow with Layla. He wanted to slowly develop their relationship, taking one step at a time, becoming a couple in a few years or so. However, that was before Nevis came into the picture. His mere presence felt like a threat to Vincent and he decided to pick up the pace and admit that he liked Layla and want to be more than just friends with her. I will be honest with you. I won't give up on a treasure she's just because I am threatened. I will show her how much I like her through my actions. I won't stop until she tells me to. I'll keep on pestering her with declarations of love no matter what happens, even if it means going against the best examinee. The eyes of Nevis showed determination as he spoke with an unhinged tone while looking at him. Vincent teasingly smiled and stared right into his eyes. You won't get the chance, he muttered. Layla splashed her face with water to cool herself down. While looking at herself in the mirror, she thought, why did I feel jealous like a spoiled princess? It's not like I own him. It's all because of the problem with my body. Everything goes wrong once my emotions are out of control. It's getting worse. Whenever I am in his presence, my heart starts to beat rapidly and erratically and my face turns red. I almost lost control of my feelings and transformed into a feline beast. Would he still like me if he knows that I am demi-human? According to what she knows, she and Peter are beastkin related to the felines. She was a humanoid cat. However, she looked totally like a human being as her human blood was dominant. Besides, she had no control over her demi-human powers and features. Lastly, if her mood is too high, she transforms into her feline form. That's why she always acts cold, a broken bar, or at least tries her best to appear as cold as possible. Let's go back and finish eating, she thought while looking at herself in the mirror before stepping out of the bathroom and sitting near him once again. Where are Peter and Nevis? She asked. They took off to their rooms, Vincent replied. Focus on eating more than worrying and thinking about others. You are so thin and short. You should eat more to grow taller. Hearing his words, she puffed up her face as if she was angered. You don't have to point out my shortcomings. Vincent patted her head and said, okay, I get it. Now eat a lot of meat. I will eat your share too. Layla took it personally and decided to eat a lot to grow taller than him. Are you done? Vincent asked after a while. Yes, Layla replied. What about you? The food was delicious. Thanks to you, I was able to eat it, Vincent replied while cleaning the stains near her lips and on her cheeks as his lips thinned into a smile. Layla blushed harder since she was unused to him being like that. I am going back to my room, she said as she felt that she will lose control and transform into a feline if she stays in his presence for a while longer. Wait for me, Vincent said as she caught up to her. I will accompany you to your room. Layla didn't have the heart to refuse his offer. Thus, they walked to her room together. See you tomorrow, Layla said. After reaching the room, she parted ways with him and entered the room. She didn't even get a few minutes to calm her feelings when someone knocked on the door of her room. Who is it at this time? She thought to herself as she walked up to the door. She opened the door and saw Vincent standing in front of her. Did you forget something? She asked with a smile. Actually, we will be sharing the room, Vincent said as he showed her the MasterCard he just obtained from the faculty member. Please come inside, Layla said to Vincent as she thought. It's not like I can stop him from entering the room. Besides, It will be fine if I don't talk or physically interact with him. My best option to hide that I am a demi-human is to just sleep. She walked back to her bed as Vincent followed behind her. Suddenly, Layla felt his hands wrapping around her soft and slender waist. Then, he pulled her into his embrace, hugging her from behind. "Eh? What? Why is he hugging me?" Layla internally exclaimed as redness flooded the smooth and milky skin of her face. Even her neck and ears turned red. "Big brother? What is wrong?" she blurted out without thinking. Vincent leaned forward. Layla saw his handsome face just a hair's breadth away from her face. "Layla, I want us to be more than friends." "Big brother, what do you mean?" "I like you. This isn't a joke. I really like you as a person, a friend, and our broken bar woman." "Will you go out with me?" Vincent said as he looked at Layla in anticipation. "Yeah, broken bar accept," Layla replied as the redness on her cute face deepened. "Great. I don't have any jewelry to gift you. This is the only thing of value that I possess. I hope you will like it," Vincent said as he gave her one of his 3 fire magic scroll. A smile blossomed on her blushing face as she accepted the precious fire magic scrolls. "This is more precious than anything else." "Thank you, big brother," Layla replied as she thought that he is really good to her and that she should do something in return. "I accept." As she accepted his proposal with a smile of happiness on her face, Layla thought back to the time when she first met him. The first time she met him, he wasn't talkative. After spending a few weeks with him, she realized that he helps everyone around him in one way or another, whether he believes it or not. In her case, he used to help her carry groceries and guide her during training. A few months ago, as she looked at him from afar, slowly and steadily, the seed of attraction budded in her heart. The seed of attraction blossomed into the emotion of love once he went out to the wilderness, bracing danger and the possibility of death for her sake. At that time, although she felt attracted to him, she didn't have enough guts to propose to him. She lacked self-confidence because of her racial disability and had chosen to hide her feelings rather than tell him that she likes him. However, as he proposed to her, the insecurities were pushed to the back of her heart, his words helping her to come face to face with her true feelings. He was her knight in shining armor. He is the one who had already fought for her sake and kept her safe from the ultimate harm. Furthermore, he has always been good to her without any conditions. What more could she ask for? She loved him. So, she agreed to become his lover. "Big brother, do you know I've liked you for a few months, but I couldn't muster up the courage to confess." "It's because I didn't know that you liked me," Layla said with a shy and happy look on her face. As she looked at him, Vincent could see gentleness and happiness flooding in her eyes. Seeing him staring at herself, she felt so shy that she covered her face with her slender, petite hands. "I know. I noticed you peeking glance at me every day," Vincent whispered in her ears in a charming tone. He gently grabbed her hands and lowered them to look at her mesmerizing face with a gentle and love-filled stare. "You look exceedingly beautiful right now," he praised while holding her hands and looking in her star-like snowy eyes. "You too." "Big brother is the most handsome person I have ever seen," Layla said with a beaming smile as redness suffused her cute face. "Now, you look even more charming." "You should smile more," Vincent said, while feeling the softness of her hands and the warmth emitting out of them. "Big brother, I am feeling very happy. I want to give some sort of appreciation as gratitude." "I'll be happy with whatever you give to me." Vincent didn't have extravagant taste. Since they were just exchanging love tokens, he was honestly fine with anything. Layla wanted to give him something like a nice present that will make him happy. She thought hard about what to give him. In the end, she realized that she didn't have anything precious with her except for her body. After careful consideration, Layla decided to award him with her first kiss. "Big brother, please close your eyes, and no peeking," she said with an expression of mysteriousness. "All right," Vincent replied as he closed his eyes. As he was a head taller than him, Layla stood on the tip of her toes, leaned forward, and kissed Vincent on the cheeks. His eyes jolted open once he felt her soft lips touching his cheeks. Immediately after, she smiled and said, "Big brother, did you like my present?" "It was fine, but not enough to be called a present," said Vincent. "I want to hug you once again." Hearing his words, Her heart raced. While she was busy with controlling her feelings that were about to burst all the way to her head, Vincent trapped one of his arms around her lithe waist and pulled her into his embrace once again. "Layla, let me teach you how to kiss," Vincent seductively whispered in her ears. A tingling feeling rose in her heart as his hot breath brushed against her ruddy cheeks. As he lowered his head, Layla's eyelashes fluttered and she closed her eyes. She submitted herself and planned to enjoy it. Seeing her so eager to be kissed by himself, Vincent passionately caressed her enticing lips with his mouth. The tip of his tongue pushed between her pursed pink lips, gently parting them. Immediately after that, his tongue slowly entered her mouth and entangled with her sweet and sultry tongue. Layla's body stiffened as he traced the inside of her mouth with his tongue. Her body shivered while feeling the warmth of his embrace as she felt faint-headed. "I can't control it anymore," Layla internally exclaimed as Vincent sucked on her soft succulent lips that even tasted a little sweet. Puff. The moment she lost control over her feelings, she transformed into her feline form. "Layla?" Vincent looked at the small beast near his feet. It had a white puffy tail, snowy furs, cold yet mesmerizing eyes, furry ears, and it appeared to be in symbiosis with the snow. Layla hid her body behind her huge furry tail as she sensed him looking at her. However, Vincent managed to see with her eyes filled with sadness. He guessed that it might be related to her sudden transformation into her cute bestial form. "Don't hide," he said as he leaned closer to the cute cat near his feet. "Don't look for me." A broken bar. Layla turned tail and headed towards the exit. In his eyes, she seemed like she was really sad and angry at herself for some reason. Vincent followed her and immediately caught her in his hands. "Layla, what's wrong?" he asked as he gently looked at the cute cat held in his hands. "I'm sorry, I must disgust you." "Don't I?" She communicated telepathically. She could use her innate ability to communicate with anyone telepathically once she was in her feline form. "Aha, broken bar. No. You look really cute right now. It's free eye candy for someone like me," Vincent said as he patted her. As soon as he said those words, Layla's eyes brightened in happiness and joy. "I am from the feline race. I am half a beast. I hid it from you." "Don't you dislike me?" Layla asked telepathically. She purred unintentionally and her eyes squinted in pleasure as Vincent showered her with a lot of pats on the head. "Silly lass, I like you for who you are, and what race you are doesn't make me feel annoyed or anything like that. It doesn't bother me at all. Besides, I already knew that you were a demi-human. So, don't blame yourself for something silly," Vincent said as he kissed the cute snowy cat's forehead. Layla's eyes blinked rapidly and she said, "How did you know that I was a demi-human?" "I never told anyone about it." "How?" "Well, it's a secret. I will explain it to you in the future," Vincent said as he placed her on the bed. "Okay, I guess I was worrying for no reason." "Ugh. I am such a fool. I thought Big Brother will come to hate me once you know that I am not a human." "Sorry for misjudging you." "It's all right," Vincent said with a smile as he played with her, causing her to purr continuously. "Let's rest. We need to wake up early tomorrow." There were 2 beds, and Layla thought that they will be resting in different beds. However, Vincent laid down in the bed while hugging her. What are you doing?" she asked while blinking her eyes. "Don't you want to cuddle?" he asked. "Sure, why not?" After taking a few seconds to consider his offer, Layla snuggled in his embrace and hugged him with her small paws. Vincent wrapped the cute cat with snowy furs in his hands and closed his eyes. "Her scent is pleasant." He is so warm. While smelling the sweet scent emitting out of her body, he easily entered the lands of dream. Similarly, Layla wasn't able to hold on to her consciousness for long as his bodily warmth soothed every fiber of her being. She was like a ice cube melting under the grand sun. In mere moments, she fell fast asleep. Far away from the room shared between Vincent and his lovely girlfriend, a silhouette of a young boy could be seen sitting in a hallway with exceptionally dim lights. He was sitting in a dark corner with legs crossed. A calculative flicker could be seen in his right eye with a red tattoo above and below. As he stared at the view presented in the dozens of holographic screens floating in front of him, the semi-transparent screens were extremely small and the best part was that he was the only one that could see them. After all, No one could see these semi-transparent screens without wearing specially created micro-lenses. The young boy in his teens was able to see them as he was wearing a unique lens in his exposed eye. He was currently gathering information on fellow examinees. He believed that every game can be won by possessing enough information. Furthermore, that's the only way he feels secure when meeting with others, as it was hard for him to trust or befriend someone without possessing enough information about them. Oh, Vincent is like a beast that will immediately take actions to protect its lair and the treasures inside of the lair the very moment it feels threatened by external forces. As he is like a beast, it will be hard to befriend him. From the looks of it, the only easy way to get on his good side is to befriend his girlfriend. The examines with the second highest grade is a simpleton. It's clear that he is an attention seeker. He would love to make friends with anyone even remotely interested in him. My spying devices must have reached the rooms of the others. Let's check what they are doing. A playful and calculative voice sounded in Alex Hollow's ear. He knew it belonged to Varth Hollow as he came here to warn him. After all, he silently sneaked up to him. One couldn't even hear the sound of his footsteps or see the shadow of his figure as he crept close to him. Just as Varth prepared himself to look through the examinees' information presented in the semi-transparent screens, a calm voice suddenly resounded in his ears. "Are you done spying on others?" Varth instantly stopped whatever he was doing, stood up, and looked to the sides. When he saw that it was Instructor Alex standing beside him since who knows when, his eyes widened. "Instructor Alex, I'm a broken bar. What are you doing here?" Varth asked with a gulp as he looked at Alex. Did I caught you by surprise?" "On my way here, I destroyed some of your little toys and confiscated the others." Alex smiled and placed his hands on his shoulder as he spoke calmly. "Instructor, I don't know what you are talking about." "I'm feeling sleepy." "If you have nothing to say, then allow me to return to my room." Varth wanted to get out of his sight as soon as possible as he was afraid that Alex has caught him spying on the others. It was a legit crime, and although he was a juvenile, he'll still be given a punishment. As he tried to move away from him, Alex gripped his shoulders, keeping him in place. "Scared? Don't be. If I wanted to harm you, I would have done that already. Anyway, we already know that you've been using mobile recording devices to spy on the examinees." As soon as he said those words, Varth's right eye opened wide in alarm. "What? But how?" "I have been doing everything discreetly. I am sure that the CCTV didn't capture my movements. I also scattered the mobile spying devices by using the dents right below my feet." "Isn't that what you are thinking right now?" Alex said with a smile as he looked at Varth. Varth looked at him in silence, seemingly having no intentions to say even a single word. Internally, he was sweating buckets, and thinking, what should I do? "We have our method." "Did you seriously think your illegal actions will escape our notice?" Alex said as he looked at him with an ice-cold stare. "Am I going to be punished?" "Not really. You are among the best examinees this year, after all. This time, I only came here to warn you. Stop spying on the others. However, there will be no next time. You'll be immediately disqualified, kicked out of the tower, and escorted by the faculty members to the jail. You have broken the law of the Federation by using advanced devices to illegally record the actions of unwilling victims once already, after all." Alex explained with a threatening smile on his face. "I understand," Varth said as he wiped the sweat on his forehead. "Good," Alex said, while walking away from the dimly lit hallway. In a rather decent room that was decorated from the curtain to the bedsheets in pink, a gorgeous and beautiful woman with wavy golden hair, ample assets, an angelic face, and a slender body could be seen sitting on the bed as her feet with soft and smooth skin touched the ground. She was wearing a nightgown that exposed her smooth and slender legs. Kale has just finished taking a bath and was drinking warm milk right now. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door to her room. As she opened the door to the room, a boy with a head full of red hair hurriedly entered without asking for her consent. "Felix, what are you doing here?" she asked as she looked at the intruder. "Elder sister, I need your help," Felix said with a pitiful look on his face. "Say it," Kale said as she didn't have the heart to decline the call of plea of her little brother. Felix Walker was her younger step-brother. However, Their relationship was much deeper than that. Kale's mother had died when she was just a child. It was her stepmother, Felix's mum, the Saintess of Fire, that took care of her since then. Thus, Kale had a rather strong relation with Felix, as she used to spend a lot of time with him. However, in her memories, he was a little boy with a cute face and a silly smile chasing after her and his mother, but now he is all grown up and has become rather distasteful. She especially didn't like that he has become arrogant. She wondered why her stepmother has allowed him to become so arrogant. "First promise that you will hear me out," Felix said. "All right, elder sister. I know you care about me just as much as I do for you. You know that this is my chance at redemption. I need to perform well at the entrance examination and attract the attention of the family. Only then will I be able to gain resources from the family and have a chance of returning to the family's home ground. Can you explain the details of the next assessments to me? Please help me out with my request," Felix said as he looked at Kale with eyes threatening to drop tears. Kale sighed. Her servants in the Walken family's royal palace had informed her that her stepmother was very sad and depressed. She was sad because she misses both her children. She was depressed because her only son was kicked out of the main family ground. She knows for a fact that her stepmother will feel happy and smile only after Felix returns home. Kale decided to help him return to the Walken family's royal palace, as she cherished her stepmother a lot. "I will help you this time because I care about our mother. I don't have any information about the next test as it will be held by Senior Theodore. The information about the last test is written on this piece of paper. You better don't mess it up and don't tell anyone about it," Kale said as she gave him a folded paper. "Thank you. You are a life savior, elder sister," Felix said as he turned around to leave the room. There was no reason to stay here. He got what he came for already, after all. "Remember to burn the paper once you are done," Kale said. "I know." Thus, Felix walked back to his room. Once he was there, he read the information about the last test. "A race? Huh? That's the moment when I will be able to take my revenge," Felix thought with an inauspicious smile as he set the paper on fire. The next day, the temporary students woke up early in the morning, some without any help at all, some with the help of alarm, some with the help of the faculty members, and some with the help of the droids. After taking a cold shower, Nevis dried his body with a towel and wore a fashionable set of clothes, before walking out of the bathroom and sitting on one of the two beds, and he then turned to look at the person meditating on the other bed. "So, she is your sister, buddy. Can you tell me more about her?" Nevis asked as he pretty curious about the angelic sister he saw last night and he wanted to know more about her. Peter gave him an exhausted look. It might be pure coincidence or some other reason, but he and Nevis somehow ended up being roommates. Last night, he kept on asking questions about Vincent and his sister, exhausting him to the point where he fell asleep in the middle of the chat. "I told you already to forget about her. You will only end up in pain if you chase after her. Although you are a royal, you don't have a chance to impress my sister. After all, she is already head over heels for big brother Vincent. I know for a fact that they had both liked each other for a while, but it's just that they never expressed their feelings to each other. Once they do, they will become an inseparable couple." As soon as Peter said those words, the eyes of Nevis blinked in wonderment as he looked at him in bewilderment. Immediately after, his eyes widened as if he realized what's happening. "Buddy, I think you're misunderstanding my intentions. Last night, I only sacrificed myself for the benefit of others. I have no interest in your sister as a woman. I am genuinely interested in her as a person and would like to know her better and possibly even befriend her. That's pretty much all." "She isn't my love interest or anything like that," Nevis said as he tidied his wavy hair. "But yesterday, didn't you say that you will try to win her heart?" Peter said as he scratched his head in confusion. "Oh, that. I guess it really was misleading. It's all become of generous viewer. You see this?" Nevis showed him yesterday's live stream chat. "He told me to act like that, and he even sent me 2,000 rockets, as I managed to break Vincent's stoic character and forced him to say what he felt in his heart," Nevis said with a smile as he believed that he did a good job with uniting two people in love. "Ah, now I get it," Peter said. What's the rockets for? Is it some kind of money that online streamers get? I guess you can say that. It can be exchanged for virtual credits. You need 500 rockets to exchange for 1 virtual credit. I earned 4 last night, Nevis said. How much is that in Federation cash? Peter asked as he was curious about the currency exchange rate. He was never able to gain access to virtual reality as he wasn't rich enough to buy a device that can connect to the virtual network. The information related to virtual reality can only be found in the virtual world. That's why he didn't know the value of virtual credits. A single virtual credit can be traded for nearly 5,000 Federation cash, Nevis answered after glancing at the exchange rates. Wow, that means you earn 20k in one day, and that too by doing nothing at all, Peter exclaimed as he looked at Nevis. Buddy, how can you say that? I work hard alright. I completed my viewer's request. That's why I got awarded with so many rockets. Besides, didn't you saw them leaving the infirmary together? I believe that I helped push their relationship to the next level. You can hardly find a good man like me that acts as a matchmaker in this world, Nevis said as he recalled them peeking at Vincent and Layla last night while hiding in the corridors. We still don't know about that, Peter replied before he stood up to wear a new set of clothes. You will see, Nevis exclaimed as Peter closed the bathroom door on his face. After Peter came out of the bathroom, it was already near the time for the next assessment to begin. Buddy, let's go. Only 5 minutes are left before the next assessment begins, Nevis said. Were you waiting for me? Peter said as he looked at him with an expression of bewilderment. Duh. Isn't it obvious? Peter scratched the back of his head as he thought that it has only been a day since they met, yet he is treating him like a close friend. Is this person that thirsty for friends? All right, let's go together, Peter said. Thus, he and Nevis headed out of the room, walking towards the exam room. It wasn't just them, as a lot of students could also be seen sprinting towards the same place where they were heading. As they were walking through the crowd, Vath sneakily brushed past them. A tiny insect-shaped record jumped out of his sleeves and entered Peter's clothes without anyone noticing. A few minutes ago, the persons who Nevis and Peter were talking about were laying on the bed, one sleeping soundly in the warm embrace of her lover while the other staring at her, wondering why he didn't clearly express himself earlier and held her hand sooner. It's because he was the type of guy that finds it hard to express his feelings clearly. She looks so cute, Vincent thought while staring at Layla's sleeping face. In the middle of the night, she has transformed back into a human being. Layla's eyes fluttered open as she felt someone's hot breath brushing against her skin. She looked up and saw Vincent staring at her. Good morning, Vincent said as he kissed her forehead. Layla's cheeks flushed red and she hid her face in his chest, her heart pounding rapidly. You too. I hope you have a nice day, Layla said in a gentle and meek tone. Thanks for wishing me well, Vincent said as he caressed her head. Go get ready. We don't have much time left. After he said those words, Layla turned around to look at the clock and her eyes widened as she realized that only 10 minutes were left before the third assessment begins. You should have woke me up sooner, she complained. It's honestly your fault. You looked so cute while sleeping that I forgot everything else, and just continued to stare at you, Vincent said as he teasingly smiled. I am gonna get ready, she exclaimed as she evaded his gaze. Layla pinched his cheeks, stood up, and went to the bathroom to dress up in a hurry. Let's hold hands, Vincent offered when they were ready to head out of the room. Sure, Layla replied as she held on to one of his hands. Along the way, Vincent and Layla met up with Nevis and Peter. Once Nevis saw him holding Layla's hand as she was his treasure that he couldn't afford to lose, a smile stretched across his face. See that? Yeah. From that small gesture of holding hands, I can see that they have gotten closer, Peter said as he rubbed his chin while looking at his sister and her boyfriend while standing a few steps away from them. I told you so, Nevis said with a smile. The temporary students hurriedly made their way to the examination room. The examiners were already in the room, sitting on comfortable chairs, sipping on some kind of refreshments. Senior, what's the test going to be about? Gale asked as she looked at the elven men sitting beside her. A simple psychological game, Theodore replied with an expression of mysteriousness. Those who fall short to live up to our standard will be immediately filtered out. I'm guessing a lot of students will break under the pressure, Alex said. You're correct. A sword that easily bends and breaks is useless to our cause. After all, it will only be burdensome to carry such swords. So I thought that this year, it's better to disqualify such students, rather than accepting them all, and as this is the last test that allows disqualification, I decided to hold it on my own. I hope you guys aren't dissatisfied, Theodore said as he crossed his legs, looking at the temporary students with a thoughtful gaze. Not at all, Kale said. I think besides, it's as you say, Senior. It's useless to waste resources on students with fragile mentality. As Alex said those words, Theodore closed his eyes as warm and bitter liquid went down his throat, clearing his senses and warming his body.